Welcome in, football fans, to our Chat Sports 3-round live mock draft presented by Prize Picks. We are live on a couple of channels right now. Broncos Breakdown, we're live on Falcons Today, and the Rams Rundown. Am I getting that correctly?
It is the Rams Report,
Oh,
actually.
no.
Shout out to the Rams.
I already failed.
Rams
massively. My name is Trace Moustakis. Please call me Moose if you are a Broncos fan or a Falcons fan. You guys know who I am. But Mr. Durham, why don't you introduce yourself? This might be the first time anybody has seen you.
So I am relatively new to appearing on main live streams. I do a lot of the main social content. So if you follow us on the shorts end of things, you've probably seen me from there. But I also host our Rams channel, so we'll be making picks for them today as well. And I'm happy to be here on a main mock draft live stream for the first time. We want to hear from you guys, though. Why don't you shout out your city? Tell us where the real ones are watching from today as we get this thing going. Moose, what are you most excited to see in this draft today? What are you really looking for as we get into this one?
So before we started the actual, planning of this live mock draft, we all unanimously agreed here at the office, hey, we're going to do what we think the teams would do. And that slowly dissipated. It just became a free-for-all. Everybody's making trades here. Everybody's making trades there. So I'm looking forward to the chaos that this is going to ensue, because from what I've heard, and I'm not going to report anything here, from what I've heard, there are some mega moves that some faux pas GMs have made.
We've got some blockbusters from the GMs, and I the implication I think here is for you guys in the audience that I am one of these faux pas GMs, because as we get into this, you'll see I got a little blockbuster cooked up that may be on the more chaotic end of things for the Rams. So Rams fans, something to keep an eye on. But I absolutely agree with you. It's been really fun to watch kind of the office devolve almost into this pure chaos of just everyone playing general manager, everyone just really having a fun time with making these moves, making these trades. So you guys are in for at the very least, exciting and interesting run through this mock, even if it isn't maybe exactly what will happen in real life next Thursday. It'll definitely be pretty fun.
Without a doubt. Let's give some shout outs to the people typing their cities down in the comment section. I'll start out with some Broncos. I'll move over to Falcons. And then, of course, Mr. Durham, you can give some shout outs as well over with your Rams fam, your Ramily, if you will.
100%.
Rudolph Smith coming in from North Carolina. Galveston, Texas from Alicia, I believe that is how you say it. Anthony is coming in saying Palmer Lake, Colorado. Michael Ronquillo saying Boo Alper. I love to see the Boo Alpers getting out early. Louisville, Kentucky from Rube. Carson Fry saying let's go Greeley, DB for L Broncos.
The Boo Alper camp is going to be very happy today.
Yes, they will. Yes,
Boo
they
Alper
will.
camp. Hey, everyone in the office is here at Chat Sports is Team Boo Alper, and you guys will see that today. Phantom SD, shout out to you in the Rams chat from San Diego. Glad we were able to turn you from the Chargers after they left you behind. Come over and be a Rams fan. We love to see that. Oh, and we got Kylie G, my fiance, watching in D-Town, Dallas, right here with us where the Chat Sports studios are located.
I've got a couple of people watching over on Falcons right now. Maurice is watching from Atlanta. Anarchy, Iowa, from Jordan. Trevor's watching from Atlanta. Pensacola, Florida, from Cest Family Fun. Yasmin is watching from California, Central Valley, California, from Kayla. Colby is watching from Charlottesville, Virginia. We've got a lot of fans right now eager to see what our GM cap looks like here, Mr. Durham.
I am excited to show you guys what our GM cap looks like. I know Moose has got some fun stuff cooked up. Obviously, Broncos and Falcons not in the first round, thanks to yours truly, the Rams, on at least the Atlanta end of things. But I'm excited to see what you've got cooked up. And I think the Rams, I'm excited to see how you guys react to what we've got cooked up for the Rams, or what I've got cooked up for the Rams, because we're swinging for the fences, to say the very least. That, I think, is the motto to live by today, is swing for those fences, because that's the goal.
Could not agree more. We've got the draft coming up here at about 2 p.m. Now, before we continue on talking about any sort of speculation, we do have to give a major shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Picks. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. The playoffs are here for basketball. Baseball is underway, and it is time to cash in with Prize Picks. Did you know Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports? The app is incredibly easy to use. You just pick more or less on a few player stats, and then you lock in your lineup. And with the new follow feature, you can actually share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click, meaning if you wanted to copy Mr. Durham's, if you wanted to copy mine, or producer Jack's, you can do that. So, what does a lineup look like? Very simply put, like I told you, it takes about 30 to 45 seconds to make one. And I actually did make one for this very live mock draft. Obviously, I took the more on all of these picks here because basketball playoffs are here. Yours can look just like mine. It doesn't necessarily have to. That's the great thing. You can play any sort of way. So do me a favor, download the Prize Picks app today with the link in the comments and description and use code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So back to this little 3-round mock draft. Just a couple of basics here, Mr. Durham. We're going 3 rounds.
Yes.
Every team gets 1 minute, 60 seconds to lock in their picks. We're going to take a couple of breaks here throughout the first round, the second round. Third round will just be flying through, no breaks throughout the third round. But one of the things that I think needs to be said here is that everybody wanted to show their GM hat. Everybody wanted to put that on and say, I get to be Les Snead, I get to be George Payton, I get to be Ian Cunningham for a day. So one thing that you'll see is this doesn't necessarily have to be the most accurate. This is supposed to be, if we put our GM hat on, what are the moves that we're making in the best interest of our team? And there are some insane moves from behind the scenes that we've also been privy to.
100%. We've had our own Ian Rappaport, Sam Brown, reporting all of the biggest moves that have been happening. And I know for a fact there's a couple other ones that haven't even been reported. But we want to hear from you guys. Before we get into the draft today, what do you think? And in the spirit of Prize Picks, we got a little more or less action for you here. More or less on 5.5 trades today. Type those M's in the chat if you think it's going to be more. Type those L's in the chat if you think it's going to be less. And a little educated guess here for you guys. I'd be typing my M's if I were you. What do you think, Moose?
I would also be inclined to say M for more because more is always good. And you know what else is really good? More likes. So if you just joined in on the stream, can you do me a huge favor? For both the Rams, for both the Broncos and the Falcons, just tap that thumbs up icon. Just shows us that you're loving what we do. You love the nonstop content as we continue to delve it out for you guys during and leading up to the draft. And then, of course, once the draft officially begins next Thursday, we are all hands on deck. We are just nonstop content machines for you guys. So do us a favor and smash that thumbs up icon.
We cannot wait around here. The buzz is in the air for the draft next week. It's an electric time of year around this office. Guys get excited. Guys pulling late nights to get that content out for you. Me and Moose, no different. So, it's going to be a fun week. But today we got this mock draft today. And this is a good question here from producer Jack. We want to know from you guys, who is your biggest sleeper pick in the 2026 NFL draft? Moose, I'm going to let you answer this one first. I got somebody in mind, but I want to see if we're thinking the same thing right here.
Well, both the Falcons and the Broncos could use a linebacker. So I'm going to go in the interests of the teams that I cover here. I'm going to go with a guy named Red Murdoch from the University of Buffalo, who in the last 2 seasons combined has had 2 tackles shy of 300 tackles in 2 years. He is a machine. He's also set the NCAA FBS record for most forced fumbles in a career. 17 forced fumbles in his career as a D1 linebacker. This guy might not have the size that you want out of a linebacker. He's got some shorter arms, doesn't have the incredible, width that you're looking for at the next level. But what he does give you for a lack of size is an incredible motor, a reckless abandonment style of play. And I think whatever team lands him is going to be getting a diamond in the rough. So I'm going to say Red Murdoch from the University of Buffalo.
I love that pick. That is a deep, deep sleeper.
It's a deep
from
cut.
Moose, showing the ball knowledge with Red Murdoch out of Buffalo. And my Rams fans are familiar with Buffalo linebackers. Shout out our boy Sean Dolak. I'm going to go with less of a deep cut sleeper, but another linebacker. I initially thought we were going in the same direction here. I think Kyle Lewis is one of the most underrated players in this entire draft. The linebacker out of Pitt. I think for most people, he's like consensus linebacker number 7 or 8. I really think he should be finding his way higher up that board. I know he's got that kind of versatile build, but I feel like increasingly that's what we're seeing the NFL transition towards. Guys who can play a variety of positions for you, fill in a variety of different roles. And even though he isn't that big rocked up linebacker that we've seen in the past from the NFL, he's got the coverage skill set. He's got the ability and the willingness to tackle. I think he's going to make an impact on some defense, no matter where he ends up, but I would love him for the Rams.
Well, one of the things that we've talked about before we get ready to reset here on the channel here in just about 4 minutes is there's not a lot of great coverage linebackers in this draft. There's a lot of really good downhill, fierce type of box linebackers, guys that play at the line of scrimmage really well. But there's not really that many deep coverage linebackers. That's going to be a skill set that whatever team drafts said linebacker is going to be tasked with developing in these players.
100%. I think it's highly coveted right now in the NFL as well. I think we might see those guys go a little earlier than people think as we roll into this reset here. We will be live for the 2026 NFL draft.
Good.
So make sure that you guys are subscribed. Make sure you are locked in with us because we're not just live for mock drafts around here at Chat Sports. We are live for the whole shebang. We'll be live for all 7 rounds of the 2026 NFL draft, and night 1 will be absolutely electric. So make sure you guys are tuned in. Make sure you are subscribed.
Taking it back to my elementary school days, I have a raise my hand question here. We've got about 2 minutes before we reset. I would like to make a quick deal. Mr. Jack, producer Jack, who's on the 1s and 2s today, could you put up that super chat menu that we've got right there? Here is what our super chat menu looks like. We've got a couple coming in, one on Broncos, one on Falcons. I will make a deal. I will do a beer bong for $50 on this live mock before we get going. And maybe even during that first pick, I might have to take it down while you're ripping the first overall pick. So if anybody wants to send in a $50 super chat, I will take down a beer bong for you guys right now.
Let's go. Let's go. Deals with Moose. Deals with Moose.
I like to sling them out like I'm dealing cards at a blackjack table.
It's like Oprah. Everybody gets a deal.
I have one on each, yes. One on Broncos, one on Falcons.
So half-price beer bongs. We can get Moose taking one down. So let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Someone's got a $50 super chat. Moose is game.
I'll tell you what, with 1 minute left, I'll do it for 20.
Ooh,
I'll do it for 20
with 1 minute left. But let's make it 40 for a beer bong race here.
I like it.
Me and Moose. 40 for a beer bong race. So not only have we halved the price, we've now taken it down to less than a fourth of the original price, and it's a 2-for-1 deal. So how much better can it get? $40 for a beer bong race. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
We might have to hold off on that thought here as we get ready to move over and reset on our main channel as well. Don't go anywhere because the Chat Sports 3-round mock is coming up. As we got our $20 super here, we'll rip that here in just a little bit. So make sure you stick around to see all the chaos ensuing coming up here on Chat Sports' live mock. 10 seconds left. All right. Well, hey, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
3, 2.
Oh, I can't. I didn't get time.
And 1. There it is.
Football fans, welcome into the live 3-round mock draft presented by Chat Sports. We have ourselves one doozy of a show for you today. 3 rounds, trades included. We originally came up with this concept last year. It tested very well, so it's the 2nd annual. And this time, the caveat has been thrown in there that we were able to put our GM caps on and make some trades. And boy, let me tell you, you're going to see some trades today. My name is Moose, Trace Mustakis. I cover our Broncos and our Falcons channels. That is Jackson Durham, who runs the Rams Report. Mr. Durham, how excited are you? This is your first time on any sort of live mock that we've done.
I am absolutely thrilled. A, to be here hanging out with you guys, and B, to get this mock draft underway. Like Moose said, this is something that we did last year for the first time. And not only was it something that the audience responded well to, it was beloved by the hosts here at Chat Sports. This is something we look forward to all year long as we get prepped for the draft. And for me, it's especially fun because last year I was not running a channel. So this year I get to put my GM cap on for the first time in every sense with the trades and the picks and get to make some selections and also be here with you guys live on the channel. So we want to hear from you as we roll into this thing. Where are the real ones watching from? Shout out your city for us in the chat. Let us know where you are tuned in from. We are live here in Dallas at the Chat Sports offices. And as we continue to roll here, Moose, why don't you tell us what's the plan right now for Denver and also for Atlanta? Neither of them with first-round picks. As we get into the first round here, well, what's the insight here? Any insight for Atlanta and Denver fans into your GM scape, or are we keeping everything under wraps?
So I will give you both here, and then we'll answer some super chats that we're getting on Broncos and Falcons coming in here in just a second. But let me start with Denver, and I'll flip over to Atlanta. Denver right now has one pick inside of the top 100. After the Jalen Waddle trade, giving up a first and a third, the draft didn't seem to be nearly as big of a priority for George Paton. That's not to say that he's taking it off, but he was willing to part ways with a first-round pick and a third-round pick in order to get the talent that was Jalen Waddle. Now, we could see a couple of manipulation moves and tactics up and down the boards for both teams, but Denver definitely wants a linebacker. They definitely want a tight end. They definitely want a running back. As for the Atlanta Falcons, defensive tackle is a high position of need. They were bad at stopping the run last year. They need another wide receiver to pair alongside Drake London. And of course, adding some other depth pieces at the linebacker position, maybe the offensive line because Caleb McGarry retires, and now they have Jawan Taylor, formerly with the Kansas City Chiefs. There's just a couple of other pieces. Cornerback's another one for the Falcons. You should see a lot of depth going down, but be on the lookout for new GM Ian Cunningham to trade down to get more picks.
I like it. So good idea of what we're doing for both of those teams. Let's get into the super chats that we've got. I think this is coming in from Atlanta, so I'll let you take it away.
My dude, saying Avion Terrell has been dropping down draft boards due to his injury. In recent mock, he fell to the second. So Atlanta, let's keep an eye on Avion, brother of AJ Terrell, who also plays for the Dirty Birds. So it would be a sweet homecoming to see both brothers play on the exact same, defense under Jeff Ulbrich and on the opposite sides of each other. Avion Terrell is one of those players that I do believe has a bright future ahead of him. I also understand the reason that he's been falling down draft boards, but one of the things that he said in his combine interview was it would be a blessing to play with his brother AJ. So yeah. I do believe Atlanta has an eye on a cornerback. I don't know that they're willing to take one that high.
So we kind of briefly mentioned it, the reason why he's fallen down draft boards. If you're not familiar with that, cluing you in, a little bit of a rough showing at the pro day for Avion Terrell. How much does that affect the process for a team like Atlanta or for Denver, in your opinion, with that 40 time obviously just not going the way he expected it to? A lot of that could be attributed to a potential hamstring injury. What do you think Atlanta maybe thinks about that?
I view them as wanting a defensive tackle in the first early parts of the round, and if they trade down, they're going to be looking for a cornerback maybe on day 3. So I'm not really concerned with their attempt to go get a cornerback that high. Let's move on to another super chat here. This one coming in from John Deep. It's a $10 super chat. Once it get loaded back, there it is. Moose, the GOAT of Falcons broadcasting. Thank you, my friend. And Chat Sports crew, rise up and let's watch this man cook. Like I told you, I've got something cooked up my sleeve specifically for the Falcons fans and for the Broncos fans. So both should see a couple of moves made, but that's all I'm willing to say at this point. And then I go with a $40 super chat. That also means at some point, Mr. Durham, you have to do yourself a favor and rip a beer bong.
Send a message right now and get one brought in.
T-Fish is over on Broncos. Yes, thank you, T, for giving me a nice little 20 there, my friend. I appreciate that. I'm going to rip this while we've got 4 minutes left until we are officially on the clock with the Las Vegas Raiders. One of the things, Durham, that I think is kind of tough for somebody like me in this case. Is I was talking to a bunch of hosts about this. Doing an event like this where we do this live draft, you kind of almost have to do some unrealistic things in order to get the picks that you want, because both of my teams don't have a first-round pick.
That's true.
I mean, that's unprecedented. I will be without a day one stream. You know what I mean? There's nothing to report on unless some team like the Broncos decides to trade up and move back into the first.
Exactly. And you know, you say it's unprecedented, but you're not the only host running 2 channels here at Chat Sports that's getting in that same position as Joey Peterson.
That's
with
true.
The Ravens and the Packers is also in that kind of a jam. So Ravens and Packers fans, I know you know that situation as well, like the back of your hand. Oh, amazing. Thank you, Arnold, coming through with my beer bong.
Oh, that was terrible. That was awful.
One down.
I did not like that at all. The first one, I always say this on both channels, goes down like a knife. It's terrible. But it does loosen up the old joints a little bit, which I love. Loosens up those joints. This is what our Super Chat menu looks like. 3 minutes until the Raiders are on the clock. Beers Cheers for $2. If you want us to talk about your team, it's $5 with a question. $10 will spin the wheel of pain for you, and $100 now is a beer bong, sadly. But you know what? I'm thinking I might keep that open. I keep that open-ended for both Broncos and Falcons fans. If you send in a 50, we're going to throw down a bang for you, and I'm going to rip another beer bong. And I might throw some other incentives in as well for both of those fan bases.
Been a minute since I got a beer bong.
Do we already have one trade? Yeah, we do. Look at that. Our first trade. Well, this is our first one here.
Oh, the first one in. Yes.
Yes,
okay.
The first trade in this live mock draft would be Moro Ajomo from the Eagles and the Eagles would receive a third-round pick in 2026, number 89 overall. Immediate thoughts on this? I know the Bears are in serious need of some defensive line and pass rush help. Immediate thoughts on this trade there, Jackson?
You know, this is actually a pretty solid trade, I think, for both sides, because like you said, Chicago's obviously got that immediate need to continue filling out their interior of the interior of their defensive line, but I think the Eagles want to continue to accumulate draft picks as well. Get an extra one in the third round. They're a team who loves to wheel and deal on draft day. So I could definitely see this being a piece of a puzzle for Howie Roseman. Even if this isn't just like, hey, we're going to sit and stick at 89. That 89 pick maybe feels like a piece of a secondary move that Howie would have.
And then the next one. Holy Moses, man. Go ahead, Jackson. This is all you, dude.
So Rams fans, here it is. If you saw the thumbnail when you were coming in, you know what it is. We are trading for A.J. Brown. We sent Devontae Adams and our second-round pick, the 61st overall selection, in exchange for the Eagles star receiver. And my main explanation of this, if you're not on board, think about what we've added in terms of a younger receiver here. 28 versus 33. He's 5 years younger. He's already under contract for the next 3 years. I think you've really, really improved with this.
I have only one thing to say about this and one thing only. Not happening. So that's the only thing I can say. I admire your gall, Mr. Durham, but that's about all I can give you.
Swing for the fences.
If you are ready for this 3-round mock draft, you got to do two things. First thing, hit that thumbs up icon and type GO down in the comment section down below. Let's get as many people typing GO as we can for our second annual 3-round live mock draft.
Spam GO.
From our awesome company here at Chat Sports.
We should be spamming GO in all chats right now.
Type those GOs, baby. Type those GOs. Now we got a lot of goes going on Falcons right now. Broncos, I'm not seeing nearly as much. Not seeing nearly as much. Get those goes going. Come on.
Go. Rams chat, I'm not seeing any goes. Come on, Rams fans. Let's get the goes going.
Michael, Alec T, QB, easy. Good to see you, man, saying go. Dr. Checkmate saying vamos, which is Spanish for go.
That is true.
And the Raiders officially on the clock. I'm going to give a quick little prediction here there, Mr. Durham. Fernando Mendoza, probably? Or are we seeing a Ty Simpson crazy move?
Hey, I think we can go ahead and set it in stone that this will be Mr. Mendoza going first overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think it is really the only pick in this draft that is set in stone, though.
Without a doubt. Now, here's how this is going to work here while the Raiders are on the clock and before the pick actually comes in. We're going to rotate, bringing in the pick. He's got the odds. I've got the evens until we get to our own picks. So that will change. It might see a double up there. 1 minute per pick, 60 seconds to lock in your pick. Then we move on to the next one. So he'll ring in number 1, I'll ring in number 2, and so on and so forth with quick little analysis in between each pick. Remember to like the stream. Remember to be subscribed. Make sure that if you love content like this, you're sharing it with your friends, because once the draft starts, we are the best place for all of your draft needs right here at Chat Sports.
And the pick is in with the first overall selection in the 2026 Chat Sports NFL mock draft. As much anticipated and expected, the Las Vegas Raiders have taken Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. And what can you say about it that hasn't already been said? He is, in their hopes, their next franchise quarterback. He'll come in alongside new head coach Clint Kubiak to hopefully steer a ship back on course that has spent a number of years looking for true direction. And I think this is the right decision here. Feels like the obvious decision. What do you think, Moose?
I think he's got the height, he's got the build, he's got the ball placement to be a very, very good quarterback at this next level. And we are hoping, at least Broncos fans are, that he isn't all that he's cracked up to be, because we have to face him twice a year. But the Raiders no doubt believe that he is their next guy to lead them back to the playoffs and the promised land. So no shock here. Fernando Mendoza goes number 1 overall.
100%. They got to take a chance here with a big swing like this. And, ooh, speaking of big swing.
Look at that. Wow. Oh, absolutely mind-blowing second pick here from the Jets. Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State. Now, it's not surprising, Durham, that they're taking what is unanimously considered to be the best defensive player in this draft class. But it's more so crazy because they've been projected Arvell Reese. They've been projected David Bailey. It's just absolutely insane to think about it. And all I know is right now that Caleb Downs is going to be an incredible safety at the next level. He's got the height, the athleticism, the coverage skills, the box safety, incredibly versatile. I love what I see from him. What do you think about this pick from the Jets?
This is a good pick. I'm shocked by this pick, and as general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, I had to change my direction because we're also going to announce a trade here in a second.
Oh, boy.
That the Chiefs made. So for my Rams fans, I also host the Chiefs channel. We're not live on Chiefs, and I made this one. I moved the Kansas City Chiefs up to 3 with the 9th and 40th overall picks, with no expectation that I would be able to do what we were just able to do, and that is land David Bailey for the Kansas City Chiefs, a Texas Tech edge rusher, the best pass rusher in this class. I was originally going to go Ruben Bain. That was my target when I decided to trade up to 3rd, thinking the Jets were going to end up taking Bailey. They go in a different direction, and so the Kansas City Chiefs are able to do exactly what I believe they've needed to do most in this draft, improve in their ability to get after the passer with the best one in this entire class.
Shifty pass rusher, great hand moves. He is easily the best pass rusher in this entire draft. I think it's outlandish, but maybe not that outlandish. But we know that Broncos country can't stand the Chiefs, and one of the things that you guys could not do last year was rush the quarterback. So
100%.
It does make a lot of sense. I enjoy your prognostication and your trade idea here, because you are giving a need, a high-value need, and I think David Bailey is going to be one hell of a football player. With round 1, pick 4 coming in here, the Tennessee Titans select Sonny Styles, and I am shocked Jeremiah Love has not fallen off the board yet, but Sonny Styles, easily the best off-ball linebacker in this entire draft class. He's got the ranginess. He's got the pass coverage skills. He's got the sideline-to-sideline quickness, can climb up into the box, play at the line of scrimmage. He can do basically everything. He is a very, very good linebacker prospect, and obviously with new head coach Robert Saleh, you might think they want to prioritize defense.
This is such a good pick. I have been telling people for months, this is one of my favorite matches in the entire draft. Every time I do a mock draft, this is one where when I come back to it, I'm like, gosh, this just makes too much sense to not happen. I cannot see Robert Saleh, if he's presented with the opportunity to get his Fred Warner, his next Fred Warner in Sonny Styles, that he won't do it. That's his guy right there.
Grade this pick so far, A, B, C, D, or F. He thinks it's an A. I probably think because you left Jeremiah Love out there in the rain. Probably going to go B-, but Sonny Styles is a great linebacker. Don't get it twisted. He's a great player. Should fit well in that Robert Saleh defense if this pick were to happen. So as the New York Giants get on the clock, you've got to think this is J. Love, right?
This is probably, I believe this is probably going to be Jeremiah Love. And it absolutely is Jeremiah Love. The St. Louis native out of Notre Dame finds himself a New York Giant, and my goodness, would this be an electric backfield 1-2 for the Big Blue Nation. This is a great, great pick to continue supporting Jackson Dart. You don't give him a receiving weapon, but you take a lot off of his shoulders by supporting the run game, giving him that 1-2 with Cam Scatterbo and now Jeremiah Love. That is a really nice kind of finesse and the hammer with that combination. A little thunder, a little lightning. I love it.
I love it as well. Jeremiah Love is Jahmyr Gibbs. He's Bijan Robinson. He is the next best thing for NFL running backs. I watched every snap of his at Notre Dame for his entire career. He is my favorite football player on the face of this earth, and I will be getting my Jeremiah Love jersey in Giants blue. So, and that's nothing against my favorite teams that I'm covering right now, but I do love a good Jeremiah Love. Great player. What is going on?
J-O-D, trade alert, as the Dallas Cowboys have leaped themselves on the clock at 6th overall, paying a pretty decent price tag to do so, might I add, with both of their firsts. They will get a second back in this deal, so not out. So they'll still have 2 picks in the top 40, but a pretty hefty price tag here for the Cowboys to pay to come up and get, why don't you tell us, Moose?
This would be Arvell Reese, and he is an edge, off-ball linebacker, kind of merged into one. There's a lot of people that believe he's got the potential to be the next Micah Parsons. I wouldn't go that far, but I do know this. When you're good at a lot of things, you can kind of put someone anywhere, and that's kind of where I view the Dallas Cowboys moving around in this draft, especially with an Arvell Reese. They can play him anywhere. He's got the skills, the ball skills that you're looking for, the size, the speed, the combination of both of those, the versatility that you want. He's a great player, going to be an excellent fit for whatever team drafts him. In this case, it's the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I think you question where the natural fit is at the end of the day, but another trade rolling in hot here as we have a lot of moves. The Dolphins are moving up with the Washington Commanders, from the 11th overall pick, getting 7 in exchange for 11 and their 3rd round pick, one of their 4 third-round picks. So I will say this is a crazy move, but if you are watching for teams to trade up in this year's draft, Dolphins definitely make some sense sitting on 4 thirds. So not a crazy, unrealistic trade here, but what do you think about this move between Miami and Washington, Moose?
Well, if it is Miami moving up to number 7, I've kind of got the feeling that they want one elite defensive player, considering they don't have a very loaded roster right now, and that's putting it very nicely. I'm excited to see where this is going to end up being, so I'm going to give this trade right now an A, but I can't really grade the trade until I see the pick.
This has got to be Ruben Bain, right?
You got to think it's Ruben Bain. It's got to be, because, they get rid of Bradley Chubb. They got rid of their whole team, essentially. $175 million in dead cap money right now for the Dolphins. I got to think it's got to be Ruben Bain, but we'll see here in just a second. So far, 3 trades, or is this the 4th?
This is trade number 3. So,
2 trades pre-draft. Yeah.
And then, so we are up to 5 total trades. Thanks to producer Jack for clarifying for us. We did have the 2 pre-draft trades. Moro Jomo heading over to the Chicago Bears, in exchange for a 3rd-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles, as well as the blockbuster trade also involving a very busy Philadelphia team this morning, sending A.J. Brown to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for the 61st overall pick. And the pick is in at number 7.
Good call.
It is Ruben Bain out of Miami. As a defense for the Miami Dolphins that has been often criticized for being soft, adds one of the guys in this draft that I think comes in with a high motor, and they keep him in town in Miami as the Dolphins bring in Ruben Bain. This is a great pick. Someone I considered at 3 for the Kansas City Chiefs to upgrade their edge rush, but he ends up sliding a little bit and winding up at 7. Great pick for the Dolphins.
Highest ceiling of any edge in this entire draft, and that's over a guy like David Bailey, who I think is slightly better right now and maybe has a higher floor, a higher basement. But when it comes to pure ceiling and what he can be, Ruben Bain is easily the highest ceiling edge in this entire draft. So I don't hate the move at all for the Miami Dolphins, who are starving for talent on both sides of the football. So Ruben Bain, welcome to Miami in this mock. I think this is a great pick for Mr. Roloff over there.
I agree. I like the pick. I don't know if I can get fully behind the trade, though. I just don't know if that roster is in place where a trade up for a guy like him makes enough sense. Like, would the combined benefit of picking at 11 and at 87 match or exceed what you're going to get from Ruben Bain? I think there's an argument to be made.
That's fair enough.
As we roll into pick number 8.
And this one makes a lot of sense if you are a New Orleans Saints fan. Carnell Tate, wide receiver from Ohio State, drafted Tyler Shuck last year in the second round. You got to see if he can play, and the best way to see if he can play is to get another weapon alongside Chris Olave. Alvin Kamara obviously getting replaced by Travis Etienne, not Etienne, Etienne now in the backfield. So they've got the running back. They believe they got the quarterback, and now 2 wide receivers. I think Trizzy Trace Gerard over there doing a better job than Mickey Loomis. What do you see from Carnell Tate as a player for the Saints?
A lot. I think Carnell Tate is the best receiver in this entire draft class, and I think he brings something to the table for New Orleans that they didn't maybe already have, which is that just go up and get it guy. That guy you can trust in gotta-have-it situations for your young quarterback, Tyler Shuck, and somebody that he can grow with throughout the course of his career. I think this is a really smart pick to benefit him for the long term. This will be that long-term running mate, that long-term number 1 option for Shuck as they both continue to develop, and as Kellen Moore takes steps developing as a play caller. He's got 2 guys that he can grow with now.
I do agree with that. And like you said, Carnell Tate's the number 1 wide receiver. There's been a lot of back and forth. Is it Carnell Tate? Is it Jordan Tyson? Who's it going to be? Is it Makai Lemon, excuse me? I think Carnell Tate is probably the safest wide receiver to take at 8. It's going to be a really good pro. I think he fits perfectly in the Kellen Moore offense, which is predicated on running a very fast style of play. I think it's a great pick.
I agree. 100%. As the pick at 9 is in for the Arizona Cardinals, and they do something that I think they might have considered doing at 3 before trading down with the Kansas City Chiefs, and that is picking the best offensive lineman in the class, Miami's Francis Maui-Noah. He is very versatile. I think that's the number 1 thing you got to love about Francis Maui-Noah is you bring this guy in knowing that, yes, he could fill a role for you at tackle, but he's also versatile to guard. He tested at guard and worked out at guard at all of his workouts for NFL teams. So somebody that teams are really falling in love with the idea of, hey, even if he doesn't secure a role at tackle for us, if that doesn't end up being where he hangs on with a little bit of questionable arm length, you know you've got a Pro Bowl level guard here.
Not a sexy pick whatsoever because offensive linemen never are, but the game is always won in the trenches. And we know that last year the Cardinals had one of the worst offensive lines in the entire league, ranked like 26th last year in pass blocking, and I'm not entirely sure where they ran in run blocking, but they definitely need to solidify that offensive line in order to protect whoever they get at quarterback in the 2027 draft. And then we're moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals here at pick number 10, Mansour Delane, the best corner in this draft. And look, I'll say this. Cincinnati has gone all offense since Joe Burrow was drafted. You get T. Higgins, you get Jamar Chase, you're constantly trying to score as many points as possible. The one thing they've never done well is get the defense right. This is the first step in making sure that you get your lockdown CB1. I love Mansour Delane. Had a 90 PFF grade last year, 13 pass breakups. Easily the best cornerback in this draft, in my opinion. Thoughts?
Absolutely. I think this is a really smart pick for a defense that continues to need more guys on the back end. That's been an area of growth for Cincinnati for the last couple of years. And I think they did take a noticeable step last season in that area. But Delane, plus if you could get some big growth from Shamar Stewart, your first round pick last year along the edge, could really see this Bengals defense taking big steps in 2026.
Call it a little TV timeout here, my friends. We are going to take a brief pause before we get to pick 11 to remind you guys that we have 20% off all Chat Sports merch company-wide. Just use the links that we are going to be putting here in the live chat. So for Falcons, I'll drop that for you. And for Broncos fans, I'll drop that for you as well. So use the link that we're about to put in here and start shopping right now. 20% off company-wide, store-wide. There we go. And then I'll move over to Broncos real quick and get some Broncos links thrown in there for you all as well.
Rams fans, I just dropped it in our chat. We have our Matthew Stafford Heart Snatcher shirt that's also available. So make sure you check that out.
For Falcons fans, meet the Robinsons. You've got Brian Robinson Jr. and Bijan Robinson side by side in this awesome one. And of course, the Heart Snatcher t-shirts that have sold very, very well. And for Broncos fans, get your Jalen Waddle Celebration Penguin shirt. He'll be in a mile-high end zone near you coming soon. So make sure that you use the links that we have put in the descriptions and in the live chat and start shopping today. Flash sale, 20% off, store-wide right now.
I gotta say, man, even as a non-Falcons fan, I might have to pick up one of those Meet the Robinsons
I hope you
shirts.
do. I hope you do. Mine is coming soon.
As a huge Disney fan, with Meet the Robinsons being one of my favorite movies, and everyone always tells me when I wear my glasses, I look like Lewis from that movie.
I don't see it at all.
Maybe
the hair a little bit.
I need to get that shirt.
Maybe the hair a little bit. I don't know about the total look. You have a little bit too dark of features.
That's fair. I'll take that as
blonde.
a compliment.
Yeah, I was going to say he's blonde.
My friends used to bully me with that one in high school.
So maybe you had blonder hair when you were younger? Was it definitely lighter?
It could be. I'll show you the picture they did as a side-by-side afterwards, and you'll know.
Let's recap really quick. Mendoza shockingly goes number 1 to the Raiders, followed by Caleb Downs, the best defensive player, safety out of Ohio State, going to the Jets. Then the first trade of our mock draft, David Bailey, goes to the Chiefs, followed by Sonny Styles at pick number 4. Mr. Durham, if you want to recap 5 through 8 for
Yes, absolutely. Jeremiah Love off the board to the New York Giants, followed by Arvell Reese to the Dallas Cowboys as they traded up with the Cleveland Browns to grab that selection, followed by a second consecutive trade up, which we're about to see the other end of as the Washington Commanders moved down to 11 with the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins came up to take Ruben Bain, and then the Saints grabbed Carnell Tate at the 8th overall pick, getting another weapon for Tyler Shuck, followed by Francis Maui-Noa to the Arizona Cardinals, who, mind you, traded down with the Kansas City Chiefs from the 3rd overall pick, and Mansour Delane went 10th to the Cincinnati Bengals, and all of that brings us right back on the clock for the 11th overall pick. Makai Lemon becomes a Washington Commander, and this one, I will say, the Rams fan in me is very bummed because this is a beautiful pick for the Washington Commanders and an excellent receiver to bring in for Jaden Daniels. One of the best, if not the best, threats with the ball in his hands in this entire class, regardless of position. This will be very fun.
Well, he reminds me a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he even said that he kind of modeled his game after the former USC Trojan as well. Makai Lemon has a tremendous route running and route tree ready to display at any given time. I think one of the main questions that everybody's been wondering is, what's up with his media presence? He kind of looks like a demon every time that he gets in front of a camera or behind one. But when it comes to the on-the-field portion of the game, Makai Lemon is a very, very intriguing prospect and should add a lot of firepower to the Washington Commanders in this case. So Makai Lemon, welcome to the nation's capital, my friend. And hopefully you can rock one of those new uniforms that just dropped today.
Absolutely. Yeah, they've got some pretty cool new ones.
Cleveland coming up here on their 12th pick. Spencer Fano. And this, again, not a sexy pick, but a definitely necessary one. The Cleveland Browns last year had the 30th ranked offensive line. So clearly, adding a player like Fano, who should easily and immediately be a plug-and-play starter, both good in pass blocking, both good in run blocking, and interestingly enough, no sacks allowed last season at Utah. 822 snaps taken and only 5 penalties. He's a quality athlete. He is very, very good in pass protection. Could add a lot more mass given his current state, but I like the pick. What say you?
I think this is a very good pick for the Browns to continue just building up the offensive line for this team. They don't know who the next quarterback is going to be yet. I don't know. You don't know. No one in the Browns organization knows. But what we all know is that guy's going to need someone in front of him who can protect him. And Fano absolutely can do that, no matter where he ends up positionally for the long term. As we come onto the board for the 13th overall pick, and the Los Angeles Rams do something that will turn some heads as Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end, lands with the Los Angeles Rams. And my, oh my, am I excited that I had the opportunity to do this. Because remember, keep in the back of your mind, we had a trade for the Rams earlier in today's draft as they sent their second-round pick over to Philadelphia in exchange for wide receiver A.J. Brown. Here they get another addition, another weapon for Matthew Stafford as this team leans all in on 2026 with myriad options for Stafford to use. They ran the highest percentage of 13 personnel, meaning 3 tight ends on the field at the same time last season at over 30%. So I think bringing in another freakishly athletic option at tight end for Sean McVay to play around with is a ton of fun.
Kenyon Sadiq. Broncos fans want him badly, and I'm sad to see him go. But you're right about everything. That 3-level success that he's got should mean a lot of fun for Rams fans. As we move into round 1, pick 14, the Ravens select Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. Now, interesting enough, probably the best body build for a wide receiver in this draft by far. There have been some concerns. In fact, a lot of people have had him sliding all the way down to the late part of the first round. But I think Jordan Tyson has the ability and the ceiling to be the best wide receiver in this draft class. His contested catch ability is fantastic. He's a good route runner. He's got the size, the strength that you're looking for. Not really a burner, but definitely quick enough to find success at the next level. I think this is a good pick for Baltimore, getting another weapon for Lamar Jackson. What say you?
Absolutely. I agree with this. I think Baltimore has that sneaky need at wide receiver. It's just something this team has continued to take shots at over the last couple of seasons with high round draft picks, premium picks spent on the position. I think Tyson, if he can stay healthy, could finally be that answer they've been searching for a number of years, that number one go-to guy for Lamar.
Yeah, without a doubt. And look, one of the things that Ravens fans will probably tell you is we need a certified number one. They really haven't had that. They've just kind of wide receiver by committee, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. They don't really have that guy yet. And I feel like this is the guy for Lamar Jackson.
Yes. As long as he can stay healthy.
Correct. Number 15, ring it in, Mr. Durham.
We have got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Auburn edge defender Keldrick Falk. And this pick is one that I am sure will be a little controversial among Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. Falk, a prospect that splits evaluators. He's got a great build overall. You look at the dude and you're like, man, you could not build a Madden prospect to play the edge defender position just from looks better, but the overall production hasn't been there, and there are some questions about his technique at the next level. What do you think, Moose?
Well, one of the things about Keldrick Falk that I absolutely love is you can place him anywhere. He can play as a 5-tech. He can play as an edge. He can play as a D-end. He can play as a defensive tackle. You can just kind of figure out what works. And don't overthink it. Take good football players. Keldrick Falk is a good football player. So don't worry about where he's going to line up best right now. Find that out during camp. You get a good football player, someone you can move around. That would be a great pick if you are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I give it an A.
All right. As we roll on to the 16th overall pick here, what do the Jets have cooked up?
This would be Akeem Mesidor, another edge from Miami, and the Jets seem to be doing a A lot of questionable things here. I'm not necessarily sure that I love this pick this high, but Akeem Mesidor definitely has a lot of upside potential. 17.5 tackles for loss last year is no joke. And anybody from that Miami defense definitely deserves their flowers. But I'm not entirely sure that I agree with this pick as much. I feel like going after an offensive player here probably was more in your best interest, but I don't know. What do you think? I feel like this is just, it's a fine pick from a player perspective. I don't know if it's the best and the highest need.
I've got two main issues with this if I am evaluating from a Jets perspective. Number one, he's 25, which that's going to red flag you at all on my board as a first-round pick, but especially for a team like the Jets, which is so far from win now. As you continue to develop with this guy 4 years through his career, at the end of his rookie deal, he's 29. Is he even someone that's going to be likely to get a second contract from you? I don't know if this was a pick you should have made at 16. I think he's a fine player, but felt a little early. As we roll on to 17th, where the Detroit Lions took Caden Proctor, and this is an enormous need fill for the Lions. Obviously, they saw Taylor Decker exit this offseason. Their starting left tackle out of the picture. They needed somebody new to come in and fill the role. Caden Proctor's a little bit of a developmental project, but he's got all the physical tools, and I think he can absolutely do it.
Oh, my goodness gracious. We've got ourselves one hell of a blockbuster trade. A trade alert. The Vikings are getting Dexter Lawrence in exchange for pick number 18 and a third-round pick. So Sexy Dexy heading to Minnesota to be with the Vikings. Honestly, I don't have a lot to say about this right now because I feel like the Vikings don't necessarily need a player of Dexter's caliber, but it certainly makes them that much better. Thoughts immediately?
Yeah, I mean, first in reaction to this is that's scary with Brian Flores and everything that he can scheme up, getting a pass rush presence in the interior of his defense of the caliber that Dexter Lawrence is. That's, hey, not a recipe for a bad time if I'm a Vikings fan. But to your point, this is not a major need, and they give up a lot to do it. The 18th overall pick and the 97th overall pick, especially when you consider Lawrence is coming off of a bit of a down year production-wise. This is a big swing from Minnesota, and well, maybe a questionable one, you might say.
I completely agree, although, like I told you, it is scary to think about what Dexter Lawrence could do with Brian Flores. But, again, not sure it was a huge need for the Vikings. They definitely need a running back, but I don't think anybody's worthy of taking that high after Jeremiah Love. So you totally understand why they would make a move like this. And, I'll give it a B.
Get in there and grade this trade for us, guys. We want to hear from you guys. If I had to give it a grade, I'm honestly going to go for the Giants. I think this is an A+. This is a fantastic move. You were far away from a contract with Lawrence. But for the Vikings, this is a C as of right now.
I'm going to be the first one to call upon my dictionary, Jackson Durham. Give me the pronunciation of this name because I always struggle with it.
Okay, so this is Vanga Awane.
Vanga Awane. I wouldn't have got that in a million years.
Vanga Awane. So, and that is the shorthand pronunciation of his first name, which I believe is Olavavanga Awane. But yes, it is Vanga Awane. He prefers to go by Vanga.
I do, look, after you draft Jeremiah Love, getting a guard, somebody that can establish that front base, that wall to get those blockers going is definitely something that you would need to prioritize. I know Giants fans have been wanting their offensive line to be beefed up a little bit, considering Jackson Dart constantly in the blue tent. Now you've got Cam Scadaboo, who's injury prone as well, or at least had a bad injury last year. I think this is a solid pick. Taking a guard this high feels... it is what it is, but again, it's a smart and it's a safe pick.
To a degree, I agree with you. I do think Vanga is one of the safest players in this entire class, though, as is our next pick, Dylan Thieneman.
I love this pick for them.
The second safety on my board. He winds up a Carolina Panther at the 19th overall pick. And hey, I got a little experience with this team's defense from the wild card game against the Rams, and what cost them their season was not being able to get off the field, allowing Matthew Stafford and the Rams to drive down on the final drive in the fourth quarter and win that game. Dylan Thieneman is a presence on the back end of your defense that prevents those kind of situations, that helps you lock in the clutch. A leader for Purdue during his time there, and a leader at Oregon as well on a team that ended up making a playoff run. I like this pick a lot.
I like it a lot. You can move him so many different places. He's drawing comps to Harrison Smith. He can play in the box. He can play upside. You know, he can kind of roam free. He's got good coverage skills. A lot of people are saying that he could be the best safety in this entire draft outside of a Caleb Downs. So Dylan Thieneman, welcome to Carolina. Not sure the Falcons fans love that as much, but it certainly would be an interesting turn of developments as pick number 20 comes in from Cleveland, who moved back down. This shocks me. Yeah. Omar Cooper Jr. at 20. I'm sorry, JD or JOD. I don't like this at all. I think this is a complete reach for Omar Cooper Jr. Way too high for a player that could have gone as low as 40. So I don't know that I love this. What thoughts immediately?
Honestly, I actually really like Omar Cooper Jr. I am a big fan. I do agree that this might be a little early, but if I'm the Cleveland Browns, and this goes back to the conversation that we had earlier about needing to support whoever your quarterback of the future is, there's not a receiver in this class that is more QB friendly in a lot of ways than Omar Cooper Jr. is. I think he really knows how to work with his quarterbacks. He's had to work with a variety of them in his college career. So his ability to adapt and change, which something that is very likely during his career in Cleveland, I believe, is going to be huge for here. And he is a team player, ultimate teammate, loves to block, very willing to do so. I like a lot about his game. I think he's going to be a very successful pro.
All right. Well, grade the trade, grade the move, I should say, grade the pick. Or this, okay, never mind. Like the stream. No, you're good. You're good. Like the stream if you're having a good time so far. I don't love that pick. I know that Omar Cooper Jr. has intrigued a lot of people, and he is known for one of making the best catches last year in college football against Penn State. It was an insane toe-tapping move, and I think he'll be a fine player. I just think moving up or at 20 to draft him is just way too high. Way too high.
I can understand that, but it would be a little bit of a hypocrite to not say, given I took Sadiq at 13 for the Rams, I think at times when you are in love with a player in a draft, it behooves you to trust your gut, to trust your board, and to take a player that you love. So I'm not going to criticize that as much because I do feel like there's a big need there, and Omar Cooper, perfect in range in my board to go at 20. It's a little bit early, but I think he'll be a great pick for Cleveland. So disagreement here between us. Let us know in the chat, who do you agree with here between me and Moose? Is this a reach or is this the right range to take Omar Cooper? We'd love to hear from you guys. Weigh in on this debate.
So we got ourselves a $10 super chat, which means a Wheel of Pain spin. I'm assuming this is on Maine, right there, Jack? So from Brozama bin Swagin, or Swagin. It's just a $10 super chat. He appreciates what we do, so we're going to have to spin the wheel, and because I announced it, I feel like I'll have to do whatever this Wheel of Pain is. I hope it's water.
Not going to fight you for it. I'll take the next one.
Oh, wall sits? Ooh. All right, I'll take a wall sit. What are we talking, 30 seconds? 30-second wall sit? All right, I'll take...
All right, I will announce this one. And at the 21st overall selection, the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking another wide receiver, back-to-back wide receivers. This time it's Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M. And this is interesting. This would, for me, be a bet on Pittsburgh's part that, hey, we think Rodgers is coming back next year, and we want to go all in on supporting him for a season. And a weapon like KC can absolutely do that for you. He's a screen target. He, like Mekhi Lemon, who we talked about earlier, is a guy who's just so dangerous with the ball in his hands. You can get a lot of gadget usage going. He offers you special teams value. Not the most diverse route tree, and we do have some drop issues to clean up here as well. Over a 10% drop rate in his last 2 seasons, but the potential is sky high if he can reach a ceiling.
One word, yak. That's what you need to know about KC Concepcion. He is electric with the ball in his hands. Needs a little bit of cleaning up to do on his route running ability, but huge, big playmaking potential. Dropped that Instagram post, that letter today that he was talking about with his stutter, but he claims that he'll outwork any player in this draft. I love the confidence from this young man, and I do think he'll be a good player. Probably a wide receiver, too, in my position, but a damn good one at the next level.
Seems like a good dude, too.
For sure. Coming in at pick number 22, the Chargers select T.J. Parker, edge from Clemson at 6'3", 263 pounds. Huge frame and a lot of powerfulness to Parker's game. I think that's one of the things that the Chargers surprised me with this pick, and Mr. Will Ortner over there, is they didn't go after anybody on the offensive line, which was the worst last year. Granted, a lot of injuries, but they could have attacked that position a lot differently. Thoughts immediately on TJ Parker?
Parker is, if you go back to the 2024 tape, you'll fall in love. But you watch 2025, much like everything about Clemson in 2025, too many questions come up about what the hell happened with this football team and a lot of its best players. And that scares me in the first round for a guy like TJ Parker. I think it's just kind of a strange idea that, like, hey, we've got 5 first-round picks on this team that absolutely underperformed, and we all agree with that. So at the end of the day, I find it hard to get behind a guy who just hasn't produced like that. To go to the old point, if he's a good pass rusher, why doesn't he rush the passer good?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, but you could say a lot about, like you said, that whole Clemson team and how they weren't able to produce nearly as well. 23 is in. The Eagles select Max Ihanachor, tackle from Arizona State, probably the highest upside of any offensive lineman in this entire draft. 6'5", over 300 pounds. He's got a basketball background, so he can go side to side really, really well. Incredible mobility. Still very raw, so a lot of developing here. I don't know that he is a day one starter, but given the upside, and if you can develop him, and we know Philadelphia can, this is going to be one of the best linemen in the league in 2 to 3 years. I love this pick for Philly. Chase Sr. definitely got his head on straight.
And we say we know Philadelphia can develop them, but that doesn't acknowledge the Stoutland departure. Does that scare you at all with Philadelphia? Jeff Stoutland out of the picture, their long-term legendary offensive line coach, kind of the backbone of the way they've developed offensive line talent. We'll kind of get a great microcosm, an immediate test of how can they continue that lineage of offensive line talent with the pick of Ihanachor. And speaking of offensive line talent, at 24, we've got another one as the Browns are back on the clock, and JOD wants Georgia's Monroe Freeling, a project offensive tackle, big body, great length for Monroe Freeling, but just has a lot of work to do. Did not get the right number of snaps. Injuries an issue for him at Georgia throughout his career, but a highly rated high school recruit, and an overall extremely talented athlete. Someone who, if he can take the right steps and reach his ceiling, could be dominant at the NFL level. But again, like Ihanachor, who we just talked about, likely not a day one impact maker.
And can I be honest? Because I'm not a yes man. Right now, I think Cleveland's losing the draft for me. You reach on Omar Cooper Jr., and now you're taking a developmental player that will not be able to start day one when you know that, yes, offensive line is definitely a problem for you, but wouldn't you want someone that's able to go right away? I view this as, again, you're thinking about the future, which is nice, but for right now, I don't think Cleveland is giving me much to write home about. I think it's a very mediocre to below mediocre draft for them so far.
Yeah, I think there's elements.
I like the Fano pick.
And I think part of this is you're trying to entirely rebuild your offensive line.
Yes.
Here, clearly. That's a big part of this. And whether Fano settles in at tackle, one of their 2 tackle spots, or at guard, I think you've got 2 starters along the offensive line in this first round. It's hard for me to criticize that too much, but I do see your point. It's just like, it feels like we're taking swings in weird directions here for Cleveland. What do we got next?
It's Jermod McCoy from the Chicago Bears. My biggest question mark in this entire draft. There's no doubt that the talent on the tape screams lockdown CB1 to you. He hasn't played football in quite some time, and that scares me a little bit. But when it comes to highest upside of any corner, I think it's even higher than a guy like Messidor. So I look at Jermod McCoy as a definite what if, but if that what if can hit in Dennis Allen's defense, this is a home run pick by the Chicago Bears, who desperately need some help on the opposite side of Jalen Johnson. And maybe even as a replacement for Jalen Johnson, as Tyreek Stevenson is still unknown as well. Both of those players, kind of a question mark right now up in the air in Chicago.
Yeah, I think this is a steal, or it has the potential to be a huge steal for Chicago. Again, like we talked about with Jordan Tyson, the question with Jermod McCoy is health related. It missed his entire 2025 season after an unbelievable 2024 where he was almost inarguably the best corner in the SEC. It's going to be a very interesting road back to him as a full-time starter and a very interesting pick overall for the Chicago Bears. As that brings us to 26th, where the Buffalo Bills go with one of the better linebackers, at least inside linebackers in this class, and a Heisman finalist from last season, Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. And this guy, I think initially looked at as more of a day 2 pick. He has seen a late draft rise. There were questions coming into the NFL Combine about whether or not he was an NFL caliber athlete, and he answered them in spades with phenomenal testing because we already knew on the field this guy is a beast, or at least he was a beast at Texas Tech. I think this is a solid pick for Buffalo. What do you think?
It is a fantastic pick. He's got the hardware to prove that he is a player at the next level. I think Rodriguez can do it in the passing game. I think he can do it in the running game. That athleticism, like you were talking about, nobody has any doubt that he's going to be that guy at the next level. I think he is a franchise-setting inside linebacker for whatever team drafts him. Great pick here for Buffalo, who now has a brand new head coach and defensive coordinator from the Denver Broncos.
There you go. There you go. And now, safety.
I like this pick here for the San Francisco 49ers. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, a very safe safety here, no pun intended. There's a lot of debate going back and forth. Is it him or is it Thieneman? I think Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is one of those players that immediately improves your secondary from the moment he steps out onto the field. He's got all of the height that you're looking for at 6'3". He's got the body type that you're looking for at 200 pounds and the productivity last year to really do well. He's got that great frame. Was not tested a bunch, but cannot get really beat in coverage and not a super consistent tackler yet. But all of that can be improved upon.
Yeah, I think the number one thing with McNeil-Warren is where does he land is going to be really important. And I think this is a good landing spot for him. He's a good fit for what San Francisco is going to want to do on defense this season, that downhill box-style safety role. He could play that easily for you. As we have a trade to announce here.
Another trade. You don't say.
The New England Patriots and the Houston Texans coming to a deal that will see the Patriots come up for the 28th overall pick. The Texans get the 31st and the 125th. So a 4th round pick picked up for Houston as they move down just 3 spots. Fleece job on the part of Jeremy Chuggs in the Houston
Everybody
Texans,
boo Alper in the chat below. Boo Alper. Alper can't draft, just like he can't golf. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see who Alper decides to pick now at pick number 28. I'm going to guess that this is an offensive tackle because he had nonstop complaints that his guy Will Campbell couldn't block. Oh, and I'm actually correct.
It is an offensive tackle, as the 28th overall selection for the New England Patriots will be a Utah's Caleb Lomu, the less noted but still incredibly talented offensive tackle, offensive lineman really out of Utah. He is a really, really solid player in his own right. Obviously, a lot more attention going to Spencer Fano, but I think when you talk about the best pass blockers, best true pass protection guys in this entire class, Lomu has to be in that conversation, and that's a huge need for this New England Patriots team, which got exposed last year in the Super Bowl for their inability to protect Drake May. That Seattle Seahawks team got after him, and so did Denver in the AFC Championship, as I'm sure you are well aware.
Yeah, don't remind me. I've got a lot of respect for Lomu because he does have a really good amount of hand usage. Everything about him screams solid, which I like. Unfortunately, I don't know that this is the right pick here. I do know that the Patriots probably want another wide receiver, another weapon for Drake May, but I can't say that I hate this pick so much, and I can't believe I'm giving any credit to Alper, but I think this is a fairly solid pick considering what we saw last year. Drake May under duress time and time again, especially against some of the best defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%. As we now head to the 29th overall pick. You mind if I do two in a row?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
All right, Colton Hood is the pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is one that I made GMing for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I've said this repeatedly on the Chiefs Report. So if you're a Chiefs Report viewer, you know this as one of our mantras. You can't call it a successful first round if you don't address the secondary. Too much lost this offseason in that position group for Kansas City to not replace it on night one. I think Colton Hood is a beautiful match for what Steve Spagnuolo has traditionally loved in his corners, guys who love to be physical, guys who can play man coverage, and he's got a lot of growth runway, a very young player who's only started 25 games at the college level, so a little bit under his belt, but a lot still to go, and I think he would be a great fit for Spags. I think he's going to fall in love with him.
Very quickly, you want to know that you take a player that has a really good job doing a man coverage or press coverage. You can learn to develop those zone coverage skills because it is a zone coverage game now in the NFL with how much passing that there is. So the fact that you're getting a cornerback here in Colton Hood that I believe has some of the best press coverage skills as any corner in this draft is a very good pick. I respect you a lot for it.
100%. Thank you very much. That puts the Dolphins on the clock at 30.
And that, okay, again, kind of high for Chris Johnson here. But he does, yes, Rowley does love Chris Johnson, so I kind of understand why he took it. Chris Johnson, to me, was a middle second-round pick, but I also understand that, again, the Dolphins don't have anybody right now, so getting a very solid corner after some of the higher names have gone, this is a very solid pick. A player that has super, super sticky coverage skills, plays in phase very well, fluid athlete, and a good tackler. Everything about him screams plug and play. And ready to go right out of the gates next year.
Yeah, I think, as I evaluated corners for Kansas City at 28-9 just a second ago, Chris Johnson was in the conversation for me, just not as good of a man corner, but he is unbelievable in every other way and so locked down last year at San Diego State. And now we get to see the other end of that Houston-New England trade as the Texans take Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State, who they've been frequently connected to in a lot of mock drafts, and I love this pairing as well. This is a team that needs to continue to get younger on the interior of its defensive line, despite them being known for their incredibly talented pass rush, their great front seven. This is an area of need. This is an area of development very quietly for this team, and I think they do a great job of being aggressive to fill it and continuing to sharpen the knife of what is already an incredibly strong part of this team into just an even better one. Their ability to get after the passer and their ability to stop the run on defense. They just continue to get better down in Houston.
Could not agree more. As we lock in another trade, the Steelers are trading back into the first round here. Pick number 32 for the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seahawks receive a second, third, and fourth in this year's draft. So the Steelers trying to do it one more time. They've taken two wide receivers. Could they be on the board for another offensive player? And it is, but not as sexy of a pick as wide receiver. Emmanuel Pregnon, guard from Oregon at 6'4", 314 pounds. Your classic guard, well-developed prospect, another plug-and-play right off the bat. The Steelers have had a lot of problems trying to regain continuity and success on that offensive line. They're always in the tops for defensive spending, so addressing a younger, cheaper, plug-and-play style ready player on that offensive line to protect 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers or whoever's playing quarterback next year. Good pick.
Well, to your point exactly about that conversation that needs to be had with this Steelers team, maybe less than it currently does. I think we all just kind of sit here and assume, hey, Aaron's coming back at some point. We know Sperry definitely does over in Studio K, but I believe that when they traded up here, I thought this was Ty Simpson. I thought this was going to be our safety valve at quarterback just in case Rodgers doesn't come back. And even if he does, we only have 1 year of him. We need to continue to look towards the long-term end of things. But instead, Sperry does not do that, continuing to lean on an all-in plan. And I do think there's a lot of value in Pregnon. Again, he's one of the best guards in this entire class, and he can be a long-term piece of this thing for the next quarterback. But again, I really thought this might have been Ty Simpson, who finds himself out of the first round.
I'm going to be honest with you. I thought it was too. As we conclude the first round here, a lot of shocking decisions Maybe not so much at number 1, but Downs at 2, a trade for David Bailey at 3, Sonny Styles goes 4, Jeremiah Love at 5, followed by Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, and Carnell Tate. If you want to take 9 through 16, go for it.
Absolutely. Francis Maui Noah found himself a Cardinal at 9 following that trade down with the Kansas City Chiefs. Mansour Delane went to the Cincinnati Bengals, followed by Mekhi Lemon and Spencer Fano to the Commanders and Browns, respectively. Kenyon Sadiq went to the Los Angeles Rams at 13. Jordan Tyson to the Baltimore Ravens at 14, followed by Keldrick Falk and Akeem Mesidor to the Bucks and Jets, respectively. And I'll let you take over here for 17 through 24.
Without a doubt, Caden Proctor, who in my opinion is better fitted as a guard, but like an all-pro guard. And then Dylan Thieneman, Omar Cooper at 20, followed by Casey Concepcion, TJ Parker, Max Ihanachor to the Eagles, and then Monroe Freeling, Jermod McCoy to the Bears at 25, Jacob Rodriguez, Roddy going 26 to the Bills, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, safety goes to the 49ers, followed by Caleb Lomu, Colton Hood, Chris Johnson, Caden McDonald, and a trade for Emmanuel Pregnon at 32 by the Steelers to round out the first round.
I think we're already over the 5.5 on trades.
It
has been updated to 10.5.
How many are we at? Are we at 5 right now? Was that the 5th?
So if you were team more on that, then you are feeling really good about your selection of more.
Without a doubt.
100%.
A quick reminder, 20% off right now, all Chat Sports merch. So if you want to get 20% off for the remainder of the live draft, and maybe 5 minutes afterwards, do yourself a favor, use the links that we are putting in our live chats right now. I'm going to do it for Falcons and for Broncos. And Mr. Durham, you can do yours for Rams as well.
Bang, just dropped it in there for Rams. Got that Rolling the Heart Snatcher t-shirt. We've also got this Meet the Robinsons shirt, which I was saying earlier, man, that is sleek for him.
It is super sleek. I love it. I'm a big fan of it, and I'm going to be getting mine very shortly.
And there is our Heart Snatcher t-shirt. I know a lot of you guys have tagged me in these on social media. If you've already got one and you haven't done so, do that. That always makes my day when I see you guys get these.
And the Waddle shirt. That's right. I already have my Waddle shirt. It's in the wash right now because I can't wear it 3 days in a row without smelling it up. And here we go. Are you ready?
Oh, boy.
This is the Moose round. We did not have any picks in the first and second. So the Moose round is officially upon us. And Falcons fans, get ready. I've cooked up something big. I've traded Kyle Pitts to the Houston Texans for a 59th overall pick and a 7th rounder in the 2026 draft. So we get 2 picks. We give up Kyle Pitts. So now we've got 2 second rounders and a 3rd. I know that there's going to be some Falcons fans that are crucifying me down in the comment section. But there it is. I've got now pick number 48 and pick number 59, and I send Kyle Pitts over to Houston. That's my trade. That's my trade. What do you think? Grade the trade. I like this. I give it a B+. I give it a B+.
I'm shocked. I am shocked here, but I'm actually going to give you a B here. I think this is a really good, solid move for both sides. It's a little expensive for a 1-year rental for Houston, in my opinion, giving up a 2nd and a 7th. But from Atlanta's perspective, you do question, like, and we'll get to see what exactly the vision is to continue to address the offense in a post-Kyle Pitts world. Obviously, we know he played a huge role for that team last season in what was kind of a get-right season for Kyle Pitts. So Atlanta sells high on Kyle Pitts, I think you could say.
Yep.
And they get a 2nd and a 7th in return. I'm going to give this a B+ for Atlanta and more of a C- for Houston. I get the idea that you want to continue adding weapons around CJ Stroud, but I think there was a chance that Kyle Pitts would have hit the market in a year or two if Atlanta couldn't have or could continue to not want to get a long-term deal done with him. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how that goes. If Houston was to then make this trade, are they immediately handing him a big-term contract extension that basically adds to the deal?
Without a doubt. And the reason I did this mostly is because I'm not entirely sure that Kyle Pitts is going to want to re-sign with the Falcons. I think he could end up taking off next year, and then you get nothing for him. So you want to make sure that you got a return on investment, ROI. Get to be familiar with the word because that's what I'm bringing to the table as my GM hat is put on. So you'll see here in just a little bit, Falcons fans, who I've got cooked up with my 2 second-round picks. And as we bring in our first pick of the second round.
33rd, the New York Jets take Denzel Boston, the wide receiver out of Washington. And this is a interesting pick for the New York Jets. They bring in the 6'4" almost receiver out of Washington, a go up and get it guy. Probably the best contested catch receiver in this class, right up there with Carnell Tate at the very least. Very reliable in those situations. Almost kind of reminds me of, I think, his role at the NFL level, how the Rams used Devontae Adams this year for my Rams fans. Just that unstoppable red zone matchup nightmare. I think he could, if he hits his ceiling, find himself in that kind of a role long term. So the Jets fill that void here, but a little bit of a reach, to be honest with you, at 33.
I disagree. I love the Denzel Boston pick. I think Boston has the body size to be elite at the next level. He can go up and get those contested catches. 11 touchdowns last year. I think Boston has some of the intangibles and the tangibles that you're looking for at the next level. I think he's going to make a great addition to whatever team drafts him. I just don't know that it's the right fit for the Jets because they don't have a quarterback. They got Geno. So, but Denzel Boston as a player, very, very good. Interested to see where he ends up going. As 34 rolls in, this is shocking to me. This is insane. Wow. I love Malachi Lawrence. I think he could be one of the fastest and best edges as a sleeper in this draft. He's not a second-round pick, Durham.
Wow.
What is J.O.D. doing?
He is 54th on the consensus big board, or on at least PFF big board. He goes 34th in this mock draft.
Wow. That's
J.O.D.
weird. That's crazy.
Perhaps a couple beer bongs too deep, or maybe selling his picks to a fan in Orlando. Ends up taking Malachi Lawrence, the edge out of UCF, who, to your point, there's a lot to like about his game, but this is a very early range for him. You know, he feels like a little bit more of a developmental guy at the end of the day to me, someone who's going to need some time to be a true impact maker. And this is a big swing from Arizona to maybe not hit.
I get why he did it. One of the fastest get-off times of any edge in this entire draft class, which I respect. But you're absolutely correct. Super developmental, definitely way too early to go in the second round. That's crazy to me.
Indeed. As we roll into our next pick at the 35th overall selection, the Tennessee Titans continue to build their offensive line with Clemson's Blake Miller. I think probably the most ready-made offensive tackle in this entire draft class. A lot of experience at Clemson. Someone who does feel like a guy who, even if he doesn't have a crazy high ceiling, he's going to be a solid pro. He's going to have a long career, maybe not an exceptional career. I think Mike McGlinchey when I think Blake Miller, who I know is someone that you are familiar with. Just a really solid player at the end of the day. Not a Pro Bowl talent typically, but someone who is going to play for a long time at right tackle and be a day one starter, in my opinion.
So I think you're right. Not everybody has to be an all-pro. Sometimes you just need someone that's going to be a pro for the next 7 to 8 years that can consistently give you quality, functioning offensive line play, and you hit the nail on the head. That is exactly who Blake Miller is. I don't hate this pick whatsoever. No. And this is where my first anger moment comes from. Absolutely, F Mitch over and over again. Christian Miller, who I had as a target for the Falcons, but look, excellent player. I'll take this. He's never going to be a pass rush specialist, but he is a gap integrity player. He can stop the run. You can plug him in as a true defensive tackle. You can move him over to nose. He reminds me a lot of the build and makeup of Mozzie Smith. And Christian Miller is one of those Georgia players that never really had all of that sack production that you're looking for, but he did give you one thing, a solid anchor on the defensive line, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing as he makes his way in this draft over to Vegas. But Boo Mitch,
Indeed. So are you falling back for Tim Keenan, who also really matches that profile? Is he someone that comes to mind for you later in this draft? Maybe a little early to take in a 3-round mock, but I think Tim Keenan, if you couldn't get him, man, he matches that profile that Christian Miller brings to the table very, very well. Another SEC defensive tackle.
I was so looking forward to having Christian Miller on the board. That sucks. But, hey, it happens from time to time. You got to roll with the punches. That's part of being a GM.
It does.
And if you love what you're seeing, if you're having a good time, do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up icon. Falcons, we're almost at 100 likes. Broncos, we're not quite there yet. We're at 51. Can we try to get up to as close to 100 likes on both?
I'm going to say that on our main Chat Sports stream as well. We're at 54 likes. The goal is to get to 100 likes. So if you're watching on Chat Sports, hit that like button. We're at 54. Let's get to 100. Let's get as many NFL fans in here as possible. This is a lot of fun. I've been having a good time.
I have been having a good time, yes.
I'm having a blast.
Most definitely. So hit that thumbs up icon as we get ready for the next pick to make its way in. And you know what's funny? I'm not looking at our production Slack, so I'm seeing these as they're coming in.
Same here.
Well, no, but... Oh, see, I didn't know that because I haven't been looking. Okay, fair enough. Well, if you want to ring this one in there, Mr. Durham, go ahead.
All right. At the 37th overall pick, we've got another defensive tackle. Feels like they're continuing to go off the board early. Another trend we've seen lately in drafts. Peter Woods out of Clemson winds up a New York Giant. Another pick early for this Giants team. And a guy who felt at times last season, very early on in the year when people were doing their way too early mocks, like he could be a top 10 pick. But again, when you go back to that Clemson team last year, big steps back from pretty much everybody involved. Peter Woods not immune to that, and he finds himself an early second-round pick. Can he get back on track in New York?
And then we'll actually just move right along to Keelan Rutledge, guard from Georgia Tech for the Houston Texans. One of the things that the Texans did this offseason in free agency was get very active on their offensive line, which notably was one of the worst in the league last year outside of the Browns and maybe the Chargers towards the very end. So drafting anybody to protect, whether that is C.J. Stroud, if you're a Stroud fan, or Money Mills down there in Houston, I think this is a very solid pick here. Again, one of those players that probably won't blow you away, right? Never going to be an all-pro, but very solid, understands how to play guard at either side, right guard, left guard. I think you can move him around a little bit. I think this is a very fine pick here for the Houston Texans and somebody that could have the opportunity to mold into a starter even halfway through year one.
Yeah, absolutely agree. An enormous need. All right, 39th, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock, and they take C.J. Allen, somebody who slid in this mock draft. I know a lot of people have him projected as a top 15, top 20 player on their board, but one of the better linebackers winds up in Dallas, a team that struggled to keep its linebacker unit healthy. Obviously, they have some big names over there who've dealt with injuries, but Allen comes in from the SEC. He's a great run defender who has dealt with some injuries. He tore his meniscus last season, had a quick surgery, and returned just 13 days later, showing a ton of toughness, but injury something to be concerned about there, and he's really not going to be a coverage supporter for you, as we talked about, weaker coverage class.
Best tackling linebacker in the league. Also, the most cerebral. At his pro day, a NFL coach said he knew as much as our linebackers coach. He is cerebral, he's smart, he's got good hip fluidity, although some people said that he moves like he's got quicksand in his feet. I think he's the best tackler in this draft. I think no matter who gets him, and in this case, Dallas just got themselves a stud at linebacker.
I agree. Good player who winds up in the early second round, as that'll put Arizona on the clock for the pick they winded up with in the trade that Kansas City made to jump up to third earlier today, where they took David Bailey.
Yes, they did. So now we have Arizona's pick that is actually in, and this will be, I believe, D'Angelo Pons, the cornerback from Indiana. I don't love the 5'8" corner, but he is very familiar with Chat Sports as he went viral on one of our videos. But 61 tackles, he kind of does a lot of things well, and I think his technique is completely underrated for a player at his size, but the size does concern me at 5'8", 180 pounds. I worry about injuries. I worry about going up against bigger wide receivers because that'll be a way too like. Imagine him going up against Mike Evans. It just does like. There's no way. Puka Nacua even like you're just gonna get mossed and it won't be close.
You've got to cover him and protect him in coverage. Find ways to work around it. I think his path to success is going to be very similar to what we've seen from Kenny Moore, who's been for a while one of the better slot corners in the NFL at a similar size. So it's not impossible, but it takes a certain level of motor, and if anybody has it, D'Angelo Pons absolutely does, as followed by a pick that I love for the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's a good
Oklahoma Sooner, R. Mason Thomas finds himself in Cincinnati to play across from Shamar Stewart, their first-round pick in last year's draft. And my, oh my, I know I'm a little biased here. I'm a huge Oklahoma Sooners fan, but this guy is a steal. I truly think he is one of the best pass rushers in this class. I think at times when he was fully healthy last season, he was the best pass rusher in the SEC. Unbelievably explosive, unbelievable get off with this guy. Incredible athlete. The play strength is a question mark for him, especially when it comes to defending the run. So that's why you see him in the second round instead of the first, as well as missing a little bit of time this past season. But I think this is a steal.
You have to work diligently with your defensive coordinator and your strength coach here, but he's got great bend. He uses his hands really well, got good speed off the edge. I think this could be a very solid year one rotational edge for the Cincinnati Bengals. So before we continue on with the Saints, who are on the clock at 42. Shout out your team down in the comment section down below if you're on our main channel. We obviously know if you're watching on Broncos, Falcons, or Rams, who you vote for. But you know what? Do us a favor anyway. Give us a shout out, a little DB4L if you're a Broncos fan, and a rise up if you are a Falcons fan.
Give me a Rams house in the comments. If in Rams chat, give me a Rams house.
I'm excited to see. I want the Falcons fans and the Broncos, because I remember round 2 is the Moose round. Same with round 3 now. So Moose has been quiet because his teams haven't been able to make this pick. So what I'm preparing to do is something that I think a lot of Falcons fans will like. I don't know if the Broncos fans are going to love what I did here, but I did try to do as much as I could with that pick 62 and to try to manipulate my way into more picks.
Rams and Chiefs fans, we traded out of the second round entirely for A.J. Brown and for Ruben Bain, respectively. So we've got a little bit of a ways to go before we will be picking again. But speaking of picking again, we've got another one to announce as the New Orleans Saints find themselves one corner richer at the 42nd overall pick with Avion Terrell out of Clemson. Someone we were talking about earlier today, the younger brother of NFL All-Pro corner A.J. Terrell with the Atlanta Falcons. He was fantastic with Clemson over the last couple of years. He's had a really nice role with this team. He's still young, but I think the question mark for Terrell, as we were discussing, becomes A, size-related, and B, athleticism-related. A little bit of a rough pro day. Injuries definitely playing a role.
I wanted this pick so bad. I wanted Avion Terrell so bad. But that doesn't mean I didn't have other guys that I have waiting in the wings to take in my second round. But just to let you guys in on a little secret, I had Avion Terrell locked in for 48. However, Avion Terrell is going to be a great player. There's no doubt about that. Like we said, there were some issues with the testing or the lack thereof in that case, but 9 PBUs, 3 sacks. He can kind of do it all. You can bring him in on blitzes. You can drop him back in zone coverage. I think he's going to be a very, very good player, and it would be interesting to see AJ and Avion go head-to-head in the same division. So I think it's a good pick for the Saints.
A lot of Terrells in the NFC South.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Hit that sub button for us, y'all. Hit that sub button. I cannot believe, producer Jack, when I started here, which was just about a year and a half ago, we were at 370,000 subscribers on our main channel. We have since grown more than 60,000 subs. So if you're a big-time Chat Sports stan, if you're a Broncos fan, a Falcons fan, a Rams fan, hit that subscribe button right now. Lock us in for the best draft content on the internet. Every single pick. Whether you like it or not, we're giving it to you.
All the way through. We won't go away.
We will not go away, frankly. I promise you we will not do it.
You can't get rid of us.
We cannot get rid of you. I love it. All right. Well, hey, look. Our pick number 43 seems to be in here. Chase Basantis is, I believe, how you pronounce this. Am I getting that correct?
That is 100% correct.
Chase Basantis, guard out of Texas A&M, 6'5", 315. That's a big dude right there, I'll tell you what. And Texas A&M last year, not necessarily known for their amazing offensive prowess outside of their skill position. But one thing that I think went severely underrated was a player like Chase Basantis, who's got good hands, right? A multi-year starter, so he's got the experience that you're looking for. Does have a couple of leverage problems, some length issues, but again, I don't hate this considering he should stand to be a very good, solid play year one starter at the next level.
Yeah, you'd like to see him cut the penalties out. 8 penalties last season, and some of that comes from, you talk about his grip strength. It's really, really great, but it also does lead to some holding penalties where he could use to just kind of release a little bit earlier in some of these situations. But I love how nasty he is. He loves to finish the play. He loves to take a guy all the way to the ground and finish with some authority. So you like that about Basantis' game, a little bit of development that needs to happen. But again, this is a Dolphins line that, like you said, needs new starters in a bad way. And that puts us up at 44 for the Jets again, and they will get one Brandon Cisse, the corner out of South Carolina. And speaking of guys who need to take a little bit of a step developmentally, but that have high ceilings, Brandon Cisse is absolutely in that category. Long, strong, physical man corner who really, really brings a nice presence. Feels like if you think about what NFL teams are projecting for in modern corners, Cisse definitely feels like he fills the role.
I do think that his instincts need to get a little bit better. Sometimes it can be seen on the field where he's a little bit lost in terms of where he's supposed to go, and that natural football presence on the field can be a little lacking. But what you get in a prototype as a cornerback, he fits the mold. So if in the right hands under a guy like the Jets coach is escaping me right now.
Oh, right. Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn. Thank you. I was going to say Detroit Lions former guy. Yeah, right. I think this is a fairly solid pick here. And again, like I said, prototypical cornerback mold that you really love to see. Incredibly athletic. It's a good pick here for the Jets.
Yeah, and like you said, Aaron Glenn, former corner himself, has a chance to develop a young guy like Brandon Cisse and really take that crack with him. And I think that'll work out very, very well for this team.
Without a doubt. Let's get some super chats in here. This one's on Broncos from our guy, Jake Peter.
Bang.
Anyone else forget the Chargers exits? They remind me of when your friend brings a +1 to the hangout when no one else knows. They just kind of exit and drink your beer and don't say a word all night. Jake is always known for his analogies. He always has really good analogies, and he's a huge Broncos fan. I appreciate him a lot. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter. We'll get to your Wheel of Pain after the second round here because we've got mine coming up. And another guy, Bossman Jay, another Broncos fan. My dude, Bossman Jay. Moose, you have more hair on your back than you have football insight. I do love a good, intelligent roast. And he is correct. I have a lot of hair on my back. You should see the amount of razors that I go through.
Bossman, I think he's got a lot of both. Why don't we go with that?
But Bossman, though, is one of my dudes. Brandon Whitley, what's this one on here? Falcons, Brandon Whitley. Shout out to you, my guy. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper. Awesome. Sweet. Thank you.
45 overall.
Oh,
boy.
no.
Oh, boy.
No.
Teams in need of a tight end in shambles.
No.
As at 45th, the Baltimore Ravens take Eli Stowers.
No. Well, it's a good thing that I didn't have them taking Stowers anyway. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh, maybe a backup plan.
I knew this was going to happen.
Mind.
I knew that. I heard whisperings in the office that I would not be able to take Eli Stowers at pick 62.
Moose
so I
knew.
manufactured picks. That's right, Broncos country. I'm one step ahead.
Playing 4D chess over there, but this is a good pick from Baltimore. You think about Isaiah Likely exiting this offseason. They need to replace that production lost at tight end behind Mark Andrews, and Stowers projects as a long-term development piece for this team as well. So I really, really think this is a good, solid pick for them.
He reminds me of Trey McBride in his ability, in his makeup, and he's got Mike Evan comps in terms of his skill ability. So you kind of give the best of both worlds there, and Stowers is going to be an excellent player at the next level. Ooh, pick 46. Here we go. Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker, going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One player that I believe is probably the most well-rounded linebacker in his ability to do everything. He offers ranginess, sideline to sideline quickness. He can blitz. He can do it in run coverage. He does have a little bit of stuff to work on with his tackling, but from 2024 to 2025, that technique definitely improved. If not for a foot injury, I feel like this guy could have been a first-round pick. Or a hamstring injury, excuse me.
Hard-pressed to get me to talk kindly about Texas players, but Anthony Hill absolutely deserves it. Just a really, really fantastic talent. Patrolled the middle of the field for Texas for a while now at a very, very high level. And as an Oklahoma fan, I can tell you all about it. He can be a nightmare when he is on one. Next up at 47th, Jake Golday goes to the Indianapolis Colts, one of the better linebackers in this entire class. I think someone who is incredibly versatile, could wind up in the interior at the NFL level as more of an inside linebacker, but could also flex over to outside linebacker and almost play a bit of an edge role, has pass rush instincts, has some pass rush moves in his bag as well. Felt like he took a big step mentally in 2025 in terms of his ability to read and react in the run game as well and against the pass. Still needs to grow as a coverage linebacker like a lot of guys in this class that I think could drop into that bucket, but a lot to work with Golday out of Cincinnati.
Without a doubt, and that I love Golday, by the way. I think his shiftiness from outside linebacker, almost like an edge player, to inside linebacker was probably his best move, and I think this was perfect. I'm ringing in my first pick with the 48th overall selection in the 2026 NFL Draft. The Atlanta Falcons select Chris Brazzell, wide receiver from Tennessee. I'm going big bodies on this Falcons wide receiver room. Drake London on one side. Give me Chris Brazzell on the other one. He's got blazing downfield speed, next level ability to go up and moss defenders, limited route tree, but flashed the ability to get better at that. I think Chris Brazzell is one of the best wide receiver prospects to take out there. I love Chris Brazzell. Give me him on the opposite side of Drake London.
I like this pick a lot. I watch Brazzell's tape, and I see at times a guy who looks like a first-round receiver. Of course, there's growth to be done there. I think the route tree is a little limited at the end of the day. He's going to need to take some steps at the next level in that department. And of course, Tennessee doesn't ask you to run a very varied route tree in Josh Heupel's offense, but I do think he's got all the skills you need to develop in the right ways for an offense like Atlanta. And to your point, this helps you take that step. In a post-Kyle Pitts world, you need more receiving options, and he is a big one for your new offense.
I love Chris Brazzell. I think it's an A pick. Falcons fans, get down to the comments section right now and let me know where you think this pick lands. I give it an A. I've been talking nonstop about Chris Brazzell. I think he's going to be an excellent player. If I'm locking in my pick right here, it's Brazzell for sure. Even though his route tree is limited, the ability to go deep, if it's Penix throwing the football, if it's Tua, you got that guy that's got that blazing speed at the next level.
100%. Speaking of, 49th overall pick, A.J. Halsey to patrol the back end for LSU. This is a really, really good player if you love the idea of getting picks, getting takeaways, which, hey, who doesn't want that on the back end of their defense? LSU's A.J. Halsey had so much on-ball production in his career at LSU. 3 picks and 7 pass breakups this last year. 10 total disrupted passes between the two of those. He also forced a fumble. I know him well from Oklahoma. He got a big pick against us this past season. He plays with a super high motor. He's got a ton of experience. I think he's one of the better safeties in this class, a pretty sneaky guy in a safety class that's very solid.
Well, I'm going to move right along past this real quick and go to number 50, Derek Moore, edge from Michigan. And we got to go blue from our producer, Jack. How about you jump on real quick and give us your quick 10-second check-in on Mr. Derek Moore there, Jack, if you feel so inclined.
Derek Moore is an absolute dog. That's all I got to say. No, but seriously, he can get to the quarterback. He can disrupt. He's just... I love him. He's awesome.
Not as great against the run as I would like here, but The Lions definitely need pass rush help to complement Aiden Hutchinson. So I like this pick a lot. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, to Jack's point, he alluded to it. With Derek Moore, the number one thing you look at is just the speed to power. Like, he is explosive, he is big, he is strong, and you just don't get that kind of a combination very often, even at the NFL level. He can knock you on your ass as an offensive tackle with that first punch. I think there's a lot of growth room and runway for Moore as well, but day one impact maker for sure.
Without a doubt, moving into pick number 52, the Carolina Panthers select Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver. That's what I meant. Sorry, excuse me, 51. Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver from Alabama. Can kind of move him around a little bit. He could play a little bit of the X. I kind of view him as more of a slot player at the next level, Durham. But there's no doubt that there's talent there. Got some really good hands, only one drop last year. I don't view him as a game changer, but also a very, very good floor elevator to whatever wide receiver room that he goes into. And obviously, Bryce Young could use as many weapons as he can.
Yeah, 100%. I think the number one thing that you love about Jeremy Bernard is just super safe hands, and he is a leader in the locker room. You think back to the time he spent at Alabama as a multi-time transfer from Washington to Miami and then ending up at Alabama. He was viewed as the unk of that locker room, they used to call him. He's the older guy there, led and took a lot of their younger guys under his wing, a lot of their talented athletes. So he comes in as somebody who's used to having that on his shoulders, and I think he is an immediate pressure reliever for Bryce Young, someone who played that role for Ty Simpson in an offensive line that did not hold up and do its job enough for Ty Simpson. He was the go-to guy and gotta have it moments, and I think in very short order, behind Tet McMillan, he will become that in Carolina as well.
I love the Jeremy Bernard pick there for them. Not as much as I like my Chris Brazzell pick, but that's neither here nor there as we go to 52. Zion Young, edge from Missouri. One of the things that Green Bay has consistently not had is that pure dominating edge until Micah Parsons gets there. So Zion Young could be the yang to the yin that is Micah Parsons. And if you're talking about a player that can stop the run, Zion Young is excellent against the run. Now, he does need a little bit more development as a pure pass rusher, but stopping the run immediately, Zion Young is one of the best at that edge position.
Yeah, it's interesting that they would go with this because, they almost already had this in Rashawn Gary. Mm-hmm. They move off of somebody who didn't offer you a lot as a pass rusher with Rashawn Gary, but was a solid run defender, although he did take steps back in that direction. Trade him to Dallas, and now you end up with Zion Young in the draft. So a little bit of like he's younger Rashawn Gary, but I feel like we're kind of replacing what we lost with something that feels very similar.
Without a doubt, we're going to take a quick break here to recap everything. Round 2, Denzel Boston, Malachi Lawrence, Blake Miller, and Christian Miller. 2 Millers back-to-back, followed by Peter Woods to the Giants, Kalen Rutledge at the guard position for the Texans, C.J. Allen and D'Angelo Pons at picks 39 and 40, followed by R. Mason Thomas, Avion Terrell, Chase Besantis, Brandon Cisse, Eli Stowers, Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker from Texas, Jake Goldie, Chris Brazzell to the Falcons, 6'5" out of Tennessee. And then A.J. Halsey, Derek Moore, Jeremy Bernard, and Zion Young going to picks 51 and 52, respectively.
Indeed. That puts the, for my Rams fans in the chat, dreaded Seattle Seahawks on the clock at 53. But before we get to their pick, we want to continue to remind you guys, it is 20% off all merch in the Chat Sports shop. Every single thing available on the Chat Sports shop across all teams. So everyone watching right now can get after their team-specific merch. And every team on this watch party absolutely has team-specific merch. We got our Meet the Robinsons Falcons shirt. We've got our Heart Stature Rams shirt, which, hey, I'm a little biased. I think that one's really cool. And then we've also got our Penguin Waddle Celebration tee for the Denver Broncos, their brand new receiver coming in. We got to celebrate that, of course, with a new shirt. And
this is
hitting the waddle dance.
One of the best deals we've ever done.
Yep.
We're doing it for this mock draft. It ends when the mock draft's over.
Wow, yeah.
So this is your opportunity. We've got a bunch of awesome merch. I just showed a few of them. We've also got the Chat Sports specific merch as well. Everyone's putting the links in their specific chats.
I already did mine. Links. We're good.
I got a bunch of links in the Chat Sports chat as well. 20% off. And when the mock draft's done, the sale's over. So get fitted for the draft. Get ready to go. chatsports.shop if you need to get there as well.
For sure.
But 20% off. Take advantage of the deal. It's one of the best ones we've ever done.
Put the links in the live chat right now. Make sure you start clicking on 20% off until the end of the mock draft. And we're almost to round 3, so you want to get these deals immediately. Let's move on to pick 53. Cassius Howell, edge from Texas A&M. I'm not as high on Cassius Howell as some people are. I just didn't see the wow factor last year. Now, 11.5 sacks is pretty decent. I'm not saying the productivity wasn't there, and 14 tackles for loss is also pretty good. But there was something about watching him play, as my brother went to Texas A&M, that just did not scream star to me. But I will not deny that there is reliability, there is safety there, and look, he's got good juice. I think that's a fine pick for them. I just don't know that he'll start on that loaded Seahawks defense.
Yeah, I agree with you about like what is the day one role for Seattle at the end of the day, but this does feel like something we're continuing to see, and I kind of understand why, because if you're Seattle at the end of the day, 32 coming off of a Super Bowl doesn't have to be about today. It can be about tomorrow, and Cassius Howell, I think, in a lot of ways can be a pick for tomorrow, a pick for the future, one that provides you a long-term piece for your defense.
Without a doubt. And look, those numbers were very, very good. I won't deny that he's got the makeup, he's got the build, he's got the athleticism that you're looking for. Like you said, though, for that pick right there, I don't think you're going to see him on the field day one. It just doesn't seem like it would be a great fit right there. As we move to pick number 54 with the Philadelphia Eagles on the clock, I'm going to say I love this. I love what we do. This is so much fun. I'm going to like my stream. I've already done so. I can't do it again because I would unlike it. But if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up icon. On Broncos, we're almost at 75 likes, so let's get that number over 75.
Bang.
On main, we're at 65. Our goal is to get to 100 on our main Chat Sports stream. So let's get to that 100 if we have not already. Let's do it. Hit that like button.
Hit that like button.
Smash that like
Are we taking our sweet time here with pick number 54? What's going on there?
It might be.
They got a minute. I feel like it's been over a minute, though, hasn't it? Yeah, sure. We do have a pick in. All right, at pick number 54, I'll let you read this one, Mr. Durham.
All right, at pick number 54, we have the Philadelphia Eagles coming away with a corner here. It is Keontae Scott out of Miami. Like Akeem Mesidor, he's a little older at 25, a sixth-year senior this past season. But like Mesidor, an incredibly productive player, someone who came up big for Miami in the playoffs this season, had an incredible pick six that helped them win the game on the route into the national championship. I can't remember off the top of my head which bowl that was, and Cotton Bowl actually, but a really, really good, really, really productive, likely nickel at the next level, probably not going to be able to play the boundary role, but you could slot him in there, and that fills out your corner room quite nicely with Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, and now Keontae Scott, all as additions in the first couple rounds over the last couple seasons.
Yeah, I think he was so wildly productive. You almost feel like you have to take him because of that ball skills that he's got. Does miss a couple of tackles despite his willingness, but outside of that, I think he's pretty much a can't-miss prospect. So I think this is one of the more valuable picks late in the second round that Philadelphia could get. Right now, Chase Sr. is cooking that Philadelphia Eagles draft, man. I tell you what.
Indeed. Philly usually cooking on draft day, and Chase Sr.
Ski Mask Howie is what they call him. Ski Mask Howie.
That is what they say. How he do that?
How does he do that? Now, look, Ihanachor, excellent upside. Maybe not day one starter. You could certainly see it within the first couple of weeks because of that rawness. But I think if there's any one particular tackle prospect that you would want to develop, it's definitely Ihanachor.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like we were talking about when that pick was made, it'll be an interesting test of where do the Eagles stand as far as their ability to develop tackles in offensive linemen. Does that continue to be a strength in a post-Jeff Stoutland world, or was he the backbone of that culture for Philadelphia? Was he the backbone of their ability to do that?
Pick 55, Chris Bell coming in, the wide receiver. Now, talent-wise, could have been a late round one pick. There's no denying this. That being said, had a really nasty ACL injury last year, so you got to weigh that into the equation, which is why he falls this far down into the second draft. But he's mainly an outside wide receiver, not going to be much in the slot, but that true X or Y wide receiver. I think if he can remain healthy, you're looking at a very, very good outside starting wide receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. Surprised that Trizzy Trace and the New Orleans Saints did not do something to make this happen. I know he was a prospect they were interested in. Oh, as we roll right along.
There's Caleb Banks.
To 56. Here is Caleb Banks. Chris Bell discussion, we'll have to wait for another time. As Caleb Banks is off the board, an interesting pick here from the Jacksonville Jaguars as they build out the interior of their defensive line. Their general manager, James Gladstone, actually coming by way of the Rams, a team that found a ton of success doing that. So they'll start their project there with Banks at 56. And he is an incredible athlete, incredible size, everything about the profile projects well, but the production has never been there for Caleb Banks. You do see it in flashes, games where he can take over, but the production isn't there, and injuries have been a problem. A broken foot coming up at the combine as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing that scares you the most. The talent, undeniable, huge frame, unbelievably powerful. The foot. Can he remain healthy for the remainder of his career? I would have stayed far away from Caleb Banks, but that's just me.
I agree with you there. It's a little scary this early for me to be leaning.
I completely
in the Caleb
agree
Banks
with that
direction, especially because, like, hey, if he was unbelievably productive when he was on the field and not injured, then maybe it would be a different conversation.
Correct.
That even is
completely agree with you.
Oh yeah, and then we can go back to Chris Bell a little bit. I think New Orleans would have been a team that would have been interested in this discussion, obviously reuniting him with his former quarterback, Tyler Shuck from Louisiana. But for the Chargers' perspective, you want to continue to add weapons around Justin Herbert, and Bell is that in spades, as that puts Traden Stukes on the board for the Chicago Bears.
That's massive.
Out of Arizona. You want to take this one?
Yes, Stukes is one of those players that was considered widely to be one of the biggest sleepers in the draft. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we go two corners here, I don't understand what Harrison Graham is looking at. I mean, certainly defense is a priority, so I understand going there. But Stukes, with that incredibly high upside, they already have a really good nickel in Kyler Gordon. So this, to me, feels like maybe you just kind of put him everywhere, kind of like a Jahdae Barron last year for the Denver Broncos. You can just kind of move him around versatilely on any position.
Yeah, I think you would have to kind of project for that kind of role, or maybe Gordon is sliding into that role. Somebody needs to kind of start playing the star position for the Bears with two corners coming in. Obviously, your outside guy in Jermod McCoy, as long as he can stay healthy, but then primarily a nickel for Stukes out of Arizona, where he really thrived for the Wildcats this past season. But a lot of new on the secondary for Chicago, to say the very least, as Harrison Graham leaning into that position.
An incredible pick there from Harrison Graham. Did not see it coming, but hey, you do what you got to do, man, and he clearly values that cornerback spot. So I think he's playing chess, not checkers in his head, but that's his prerogative as we get ready to talk about the San Francisco 49ers.
All right, Jennings Dunker off the board. Here, I'll take this one because you'll be next for your pick. Dunker off the board, the mulleted Iowa Hawkeye, one of the kind of viral sensations of this draft for a number of reasons. Obviously, his looks being one of them, but the play should definitely deserve just as much attention. I think this guy is a mauler in the run game. He is mean. He is nasty. We talked about that earlier with Caleb Lomu. He loves to finish a guy. Very, very strong hands, grips, and a stiff lower body with does kind of struggle with quickness and aggressive defensive ends at times.
Yeah, I love Jennings Dunker. He's going to be an excellent... Yeah, what's up?
Okay. All right. Jack is pausing me for something.
Jennings Dunker is a very good plug-and-play right tackle right out of the gates. That is somebody that I believe has the pass rush capability the pass blocking capability, as well as the run stopping ability. And I'm going to move right on to my second Falcons pick after the Kyle Pitts trade. Here we are at pick number 59, Lee Hunter, defensive tackle from Texas Tech, 6'3", 318 pounds. Gap integrity, like we have talked about nonstop over and over again. Jeff Ulbrich wants someone that takes up space, and he absolutely does. He's also got that 3-down ability that you want, active in run support. Needs to polish up his technique a little bit. He's not quite the most polished player, but what you get from a size, a power, and a run-stopping athleticism perspective, this is a home run pick, in my opinion, for the Dirty Birds.
Yeah, I think the one thing that scares me with Hunter at times is bully ball players, guys who thrive off size and athleticism and just being the bigger man at the college level and younger levels, tend to struggle a little bit early on, at least at the NFL level. So we'll see how Hunter handles that transition, but a lot to like about his athletic profile.
I think it's an A. Personally, I've got my Ian Cunningham hat on right now, and I've got 2 good picks that I'm loving, Brazel and Hunter. Let me know, Falcons fans, down in the comment section down below how I'm doing so far. Do you like the pick? Do you like the picks total? And Broncos country, don't you worry. We're coming up next with you guys as well.
I know. Rams and Chiefs fans, we got a while to wait here.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I personally think it's pretty good. I'm going to give some grades out real quick before we get that next pick in. Everybody's saying it's an A. They must love what Moose has got cooking right now. I got to say, I got to hand it to myself. A little pat on the back. Can you smell what the Moose is cooking?
Seems like they can. As Chicago continues to cook on the defensive end with the selection of Illinois' Gabe Akis, keeping him in the state. He will come over to play for the Bears, and this is an interesting one. Big 10, defensive player of the year last year. Great burst at his size with some very, very impressive hand usage. The absolute pass rush upside is there for him. You do question whether or not he'll be an incredible run defender at the next level, but good power, great bull rush, needs to add more to the plan, needs to develop a couple counters for his ability at the next level.
I agree with you, and this is definitely someone that you want to just get after the quarterback, which, again, Chicago needs badly. So I don't hate the pick. I don't love it. I think it's all right. I think they've done a pretty decent job here attacking that defensive side. Dennis Sutton coming in, and I'll take the back-to-backs here because I've got Denver coming up right after this one.
Got it. It is denied, though.
Oh, deny Dennis Sutton. Excuse me. Deny Dennis Sutton. Look, defensive end, 6'5", 256, 8.5 sacks last year. Philadelphia is in a unique spot because they are so talented on the defensive side of the ball. They're just adding rotational players, in my opinion. But again, very quality bag, right? He's got a good spin move, good athletic ability, but not a total finished product quite yet. Very straight off the edge. I think it's a solid pick. What do you think?
I agree. You know, you continue to see Philadelphia lean into a strength point for them. Their defensive line, something that's historically been very strong under Howie Roseman, something that he clearly values the building of. He continues to build in that direction. And I think Sutton, someone who has produced at the highest levels for Penn State over the last couple of years, he stays in the Pennsylvania area as he winds up an Eagle. And we've got a trade to discuss here. The Jacksonville Jaguars moving up with the Denver Broncos. Why don't you break down what you were thinking with this move?
Don't worry, Broncos, you're next. Psych.
Well, I heard we weren't getting Eli Stowers, and that caused me to panic a little bit. So I decided, I believe the guys that I really want can still be achieved in round 3 here. So I traded with the Jacksonville Jaguars to jump back, get 2 third-round picks because we only had 1 in the top 100. Now we have 2 in the top 100 to complement picks 108 and 111. So you would have 4 picks within that swing. I think that's a pretty good move on my end. So you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, Broncos country, to get your picks in.
Yes.
What happened?
Mitch is trying to trade in the middle of the draft.
Oh, yeah.
That deadline was ours.
Yeah, of course. Mitch is trying to manufacture trades. I think this is a smart move. When I heard we weren't going to get Stowers, I was like, I've got to manufacture more picks. I've got to move out of the second round. Get 4 picks within those 20 to 22 picks. I think it's the best move that Broncos fans would actually hope for.
I like the ethos here from the Denver Broncos, and I'm wondering, what are the Jags coming up to get here at 62? What does Cullen Cullen have in mind in the plan for Jacksonville? As here it is, we now know it is Kieran Crawford, the edge out of Auburn, who was the target for Jacksonville as they move up the board here with Denver. Pretty solid edge coming in from Auburn. Not the most productive as a pass rusher last season, just 5 sacks and 43 pressures, playing across from Keldrick Falk, obviously, last year. But another really solid player. Very, very high motor on this dude. Incredible bend. A lot of untapped potential. I think the ceiling is very, very high, but just needs to clean up the missed tackles.
Yeah, the tackling is a big concern there. Everything else you like, but if he can learn to wrap up, he should be a really good edge. 5 sacks, though, not quite as high as you would have liked. Still decently enough, though, a pretty solid and productive player. I think this might be a developmental piece after year 1.
Yeah, 100% feels like a guy with a lot to grow. At 23, you wonder, like, how does that transition with his age being a little bit older for a second-round pick? But we'll see as Jacksonville continues to add to their defense. Couple more picks left in this second round as we get to about the
Actually,
midpoint
isn't that
of this.
it? Oh, no, there's 2 more, right?
2 more, yeah.
2 more picks. Okay.
2 more picks in the second round. I think New England and Seattle, right?
Boo.
Indeed. New England on the clock. Boo Alper.
Well, we
in
already
the
see
chat.
who it is.
Boo Alper in the chat. You want to announce?
Yeah,
the Alper's
Romello Heights, edge from Texas Tech. And, okay, it's fine. Productive player, quick off the snap, got good hands, but very undersized for the position, and he doesn't have a lot of power. So this is just like your kind of speed player, your traditional speed player. I don't know that he's got enough strength to win at the next level. So this is very on brand for Alper to take players that he believes is good.
Yeah, and to your point about height being a
except for Alper's.
And to your point about Romello Height being a productive player, not really one until the end of his college career at Texas Tech after a couple of other transfers where he just couldn't really find consistent productivity. So we'll see if that continues for him at the NFL level or if he kind of trends back towards being someone who just isn't very productive. But next up, Seattle winds up taking a running back. Their Ken Walker replacement for the long term is hopefully Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame. Obviously, the production doesn't pop eyes, but mind you, this guy was behind a demigod this past season in Jeremiah Love. 113 carries and 674 yards, but you see the efficiency, 6 yards per carry from him, widely seen as the second best running back in a class that's generally shallow. So if Seattle wanted to address one, I think they do a good job of doing it early right here. What do you think about Price?
Price is the number 1 running back on every college football team except Notre Dame. That is the absolute truth. He is that good. He just happened to sit behind a legendary college football running back in Jeremiah Love. Yeah. This tandem was one of the best I've ever seen come through Notre Dame ever. So I think Jadarian Price, who also has special teams ability as a punt returner and a kick returner, is going to add insane value. Insane value.
I, as a Rams fan, don't love that pick for Seattle because I think he could work out very, very well
for sure
for the Seahawks. Hopefully, he's a Rashad Penny type.
All right, if you're ready for round 3, spam those goes.
Give
me the goes. Give me the goes. Give me the goes.
Give us the go.
Give me those goes. I know that most Broncos fans are not upset with the moves that I made there, but you have to understand, my friends, I believe that 4-pick swing can generate some really good players at the end of round 3 and the beginning of round 4. So it's not like we need that much. We brought back 95% of the entire team. And Falcons fans, I've also got a guy that I think you guys will be interested in taking here.
You know what I'm not seeing a lot of? I'm not seeing a lot of movement in our main chat sports chat, which makes me sad. It makes me sad. Movement. It makes me sad. Oh, I see Matthew Bell spamming his go. Let's go.
Let's go, Matt Bell.
We need some more movement.
73 people watching. We got one person, Matthew Bell, who's the ultimate real one, typing his go.
Speaking of real ones, shout out to Charmaine Be Real in the Rams chat, spamming their goes. We appreciate
This is going to be the last round of the mock.
This is the last round of the mock.
I see Anthony. There we go. We getting some movement in the chat. Remember also,
I need some more movement.
20% off store-wide.
20%
Chatsports.shop. Go get some awesome merch. Go do it. The deal is going to be done at the end of round 3.
It certainly is.
So make sure you get in there. Get some awesome merch. This is the biggest sale we've ever done.
It is the biggest sale we've ever done. That is correct.
One more round to save 20% on all your merch.
Yep, get on in there.
And you are on the clock.
We're back. The Cardinals are on the clock.
The Cardinals are on the clock.
And it's 65. Who do they have for us? Be interesting to see.
Interesting indeed.
Do we have a best player available? Let's see if we can roll through that real quick. All right, so Ty Simpson still on the board as we make it to round 3, as is your boy Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. Another interesting receiver in Antonio Williams, Keith Abney out of Arizona State.
What's up?
All still available on the board.
That's fine. Jordan Olson coming in on Falcons saying, finally got my Falcon shirt. Shout out to you, my guy. Thank you for that. You better take Branch at 48. Too high to take Zaccheaus Branch at 48, but I appreciate you making the super chat, my friend Jordan, and rise up. And then, of course, another one from Jordan. Never mind. He says, why Brazel over Branch? 6'5", blazing. Oh, my goodness. There he is. Sorry, I had to cut it short. There it is. There it is in the 3rd round. Ty Simpson has been taken by the Cardinals.
Oh, there he is.
We were just wondering when and where Ty Simpson would end up.
Oh boy, that is crazy. Ty Simpson, man, let me tell you what. Maybe not the biggest, maybe not the strongest. Definitely has good ball placement, good distributor of the football. It's all about where he lands. I don't like this landing spot for him at all. I don't think this is good. No.
No.
I don't like it at all.
Wow.
I like him better suited for the Rams. I like him better suited for the Steelers. I like him better suited for a coach that has been there, done that, and absolutely developed quarterbacks. And we have not seen anything from Mike LaFleur.
I disagree. Mike LaFleur from a Rams system, I think, can work well with quarterback talent. And I think what we'll see from him, I mean, obviously he just helped Matthew Stafford deliver the best season of his long and already storied career, winning a MVP award. And it's a similar offense because, you know, we saw him call plays actually against his new team, the Arizona Cardinals. And you didn't see a lot of deviation from what Sean McVay likes to do. And I think Ty Simpson projected well in a Rams-style scheme. So therefore, I do think he projects well in what Mike LaFleur is going to want to do as well. I think the biggest question here is how well can you support him? How well can you build around this dude? I think he's very talented to have wound up in the 3rd. I do think there's franchise QB potential with Simpson if you hit the ceiling, but hitting the ceiling is kind of like walking a tightrope.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm going to grade this pick a C- for me. I like the player a little bit more than I like the fit, but the fit is just too much for me to say I like it, so I don't like it at all.
I'm going to give it a B+. I think we're a little split on this one, but I respect where you're coming from on it. As Malachi Fields, your boy from Notre Dame, winds up a Tennessee Titan with the 66th overall pick. 6'4", 218-pound wide receiver.
You're going to laugh at this. I think this is another bad pick from Alper. I'm not going to lie. Malachi Fields is slow. I am a huge Notre Dame fan. I was never impressed with when Malachi Fields took he's got an incredible body, and he's made some unbelievable acrobatic catches. He does not have speed at the next level to win against fast corners. There's just no way. He'll just get completely smothered. It won't work for him. He was just okay last year. Granted, it was a run-first offense with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I don't see Malachi Fields being that big of a difference maker.
Yeah, he's going to need to be somebody who can win at the catch point with a lot of consistency because, to your point, separation is not ever going to be how he wins unless his route tree just really refines itself. Speaking of someone whose separation is how they win, though, Zaccheaus Branch finds himself a Las Vegas Raider, 3rd round, 67th overall. They take one of the speedier, small smaller receivers in this class as this Raiders team continues to look for new options and new weapons for their brand new quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. And I think this is a pretty good one. Offers you some special teams upside as well. I know you know Branch from covering Atlanta. What do you think?
Branch he's a good player, unbelievable with the ball in his hands. He doesn't have that deep of a route tree. He's a line of scrimmage player, special teams ability, and he can run a nice out route. Outside of that, he plays a lot at the line of scrimmage. That's going to be his bread and butter. He reminds me a lot of Marvin Mims from the Broncos, believe it or not. That's my comp for him, which would end up becoming a very, very good player considering Marvin Mims is an all-pro returner. I just think that's kind of a limited pick, but again, a very, very good wide receiver nonetheless.
I know Rams fans were not fans of the idea of Zaccheaus Branch, a little too much Tutu Atwell trauma with this team to fall in love with the idea of a 5'8", 5'9" sized receiver who's mostly a speed burner. But I think Branch does offer you a little bit more upside and versatility than the usage we were able to get out of Tutu.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I like Zaccheaus Branch a lot. I feel like he's built for one style of play, at least right now. That could obviously change.
Yeah.
Dak TV coming in with a $10 super chat. From Maine, we better be double dipping this round at wide receiver. Fins up. You've got all the picks in the world, my friend. You could take a lot of different plays.
There is a lot of options for Miami in this round. They have a number of picks. They had 4 in the third round. They traded one, they traded one to move up to 7th with the Commanders. So they're 1 down in the third round, but still a lot of options to continue to add at receiver. But what we are seeing over these first couple picks of the third round is the receivers are going fast.
Yes, they are.
So we'll see what position Miami finds themselves in when they are on the board.
What's coming in at number 68 here? Is there another trade? Because I heard someone go nuts. Oh, no, nothing yet?
Well, real quick, shout out to Eric Castro on our first.
Oh, hey!
Nice.
Shout out to Eric Castro. Thank you very much, my friend. I hope you enjoyed that Heart Snatcher shirt. Hope you rep it with some pride.
Sam Roush coming in at number 68. I think that's a great pick for God. Chase is killing this.
He really is.
Sam Roush is by far the best inline wide tight end in this entire draft. Shout out to Boss Man Jay. He's unbelievable. 6'6", 267, plays the next level really, really well. Up the seam, fantastic in space, can block at a really elite level. It's just not quite there in terms of the productivity that you want. But he played for Stanford, and their football program right now is an absolute joke. From the size, the traits, the tangibles that you see, Sam Roush projects to be a very, very good tight end at the next level.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think he's a sleeper for sure in this year's class, as is our next selection. The Houston Texans continue to add to a solid and deep receiver room with Elijah Surratt out of Indiana. Big receiver, 6'2.5", 207 pounds. Really, really solid option for Fernando Mendoza this year at Indiana. Helped that team go win a national championship after transferring in his career as well. 830 yards receiving, 15 touchdowns, incredible body control, knows how to win one-on-one against corners. Basketball background absolutely shows up for him, but he definitely needs to improve his route running. That's the biggest area of growth.
I completely agree, but I do think he has what it takes to be a good wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 at the next level. So he could be an immediate impact player for a team that is desperate for one of those 2.
Indeed. And this next pick, I really like. Keith Abney goes to the Cleveland Browns. Fun fact about Keith Abney, national record holder in speed skating for the U13 group. He was a speed skater throughout his youth, growing up in the Dallas area before transitioning to playing football. So just kind of an incredible athlete in general. Undersized, though, at just 5'9", does profile as a nickel at the next level, but you see the disruption, you see the productivity from his time at Arizona State.
Yeah, I love Keith Abney. He was going to be a second-round pick, in my opinion. I still think he does go in the actual draft somewhere in the second round. I think the traits and the productivity that you saw last year is too good to pass up. So I think this is actually their first good pick here for Cleveland in JOD with Keith Abney, who may be your Denzel Ward replacement if Ward does not finish out his career in Cleveland.
There you go. There you go. Ooh.
And then this is another really good pick here. Dominique Orange, Big Citrus. Big Citrus coming in for the Commanders here. The numbers look awful on paper. Just a half a tackle for loss, no sacks. But when you talk about space eaters, when you talk about someone that just takes up a position on the field, Dominique Orange is that guy. Traditional nose tackle. You plug him up. He's the anchor of a defensive line. He can cover 2 gaps if you give him enough leverage. I think he's going to be a really good player at the next level. Maybe not a stat stuffer, but integral for the success of a defensive line at the next level.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. I really think he is somebody that my Chiefs fans, I know you guys might be a little disappointed if you're watching on Maine that he went off the board early. He's a Kansas City native. He's someone they've been connected to heavily, and I would love for him to be available because he, to your point, one of the best run stuffers, I think, in this class.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And again, a player that I expect to go right around this late second, early third area, considering he is a big-time favorite for a lot of talking heads in the NFL, has gained a lot of hype throughout the pre-draft process. So Dominique Orange should fit to be a very, very good player at the next level.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree as we continue to roll through this thing.
72 coming up here, and this is our, Kyle Lewis, linebacker from Pittsburgh, goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, first thoughts on this one, Durham. I don't love the height. 5'11" is kind of short for a linebacker, but rangy, fast, productive, good in pass coverage. I like it. I don't hate it. And I think the size factor for a linebacker is not nearly as big of a deal for me personally. So I don't care necessarily that he's 5'11", but it does bring up a concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day with Kyle Lewis, you almost can't view him as a pure linebacker. You have to view him as just kind of a chess piece for this defense in general. I think he could even go as far as to flex over to like slot corner at times. He has a ton of versatility. He could play box safety for you. A lot of different ways that you can use a player like Kyle Lewis. And I think increasingly NFL defenses are transitioning towards this sort of positionless guy that can roam the middle of a defense, and Kyle Lewis absolutely fills that void. And this next pick by the New Orleans Saints, this is a very Trizzy Trace pick, as producer Jack just added. Mike Washington comes in the Arkansas Razorback, woo pig suey for my Arkansas fans, and woo boy, is this guy fast. Unbelievable speed.
4.33.
But also a lot of issues with ball security. That's the number one thing you worry about with Mike Washington. The speed is absolutely there. The fumbles are absolutely there. I believe he's had 9 over the last couple of seasons, leading the entire country. And, with the Saints here, I can't get behind the pick here. I can't get behind the ethos of what we're doing.
Don't like the pick for the Saints.
Because at the end of the day, he just isn't really the right fit.
It's not. And look, I love the player. I love the pick. The fumbles are a concern. Outside of that, he offers.
I just realized I'm on the clock for the Kansas
Yeah, you're
City
good.
Chiefs.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay.
For Mike Washington, I love everything about the player. I love everything about the home run ability, the speed, the versatility, the patience, the field vision. Not holding on to the ball is something that you can teach, in my opinion. But with the Saints, it doesn't fit. And that's just my ultimate takeaway is you drafted Devin Neal last year. Why do you need Mike Washington Jr. unless you're just trying to dump off Alvin Kamara for pennies on the dollar at this point? So we'll see. We'll see. But that is definitely a Trace Gerard pick for sure. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Kansas City is officially in, and you can take your pick here, Mr.
All right.
Jackson Durham.
We are adding a wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes. It is Antonio Williams, the wide receiver out of Clemson. Someone who had a lot more hype and buzz last season around this time. Someone who was viewed as maybe a first-round draft pick, coming in like a lot of the Clemson guys. His stock has fallen a lot, but I do think he could be a fit for this Kansas City Chiefs team. I do think he can come in day one and add to a receiver room that still needs guys to stand out. Xavier Worthy hasn't taken the steps that they were hoping for. Rashee Rice has a number of question marks both on and off the football field. So Antonio Williams continues to relieve some of that pressure from those two guys as they continue to struggle to stay healthy and struggle to stay on the field in general, and gives Mahomes another option. option.
I completely agree. The one thing that I don't love about Antonio Williams is he didn't feel like a difference maker, but nobody did from that Clemson team last year. So I can't be the one to say that he won't be a good pro at the next level. But I respect your pick. It's a position of need. Pat Mahomes needs another wide receiver, needs another weapon with Kelsey getting 1 year older, inching his way towards retirement. I think this is okay.
Mm-hmm. The other option was someone who's actually about to come off the board here, someone I thought about taking. You want to take it away on Ted
Hurst, Georgia State. Accounted for 1/3 of his team's receiving yards last year, which means he was the number one target by a wide margin. He's a big play threat player who played in a very small school. That's the one problem. Didn't play a lot of great talent, so a lot of people wonder, can he do it at the next level? However, when it comes to his ability, you can't deny that he's got all of the characteristics that you want from an X or a Y receiver, and I also think you could play him a little bit out of the slot as well. I think Ted Hurst is going to be a fine player. I think it might be a little too early to take him here in the third, but Miami needs a lot of people, so I don't hate it either.
I like this range for Hurst. My number one question for him is, can he bulk up a little bit and learn to play through contact? Press coverage has been an issue for him. He kind of folds up like a lawn chair once you get your hands on him. So I would love to see Ted add some play strength at the end of the day and add a little bit more willingness to play through contact. And at the end of the day, that's a mindset issue. So that's just going to take some coaching. And landing in Miami with a team that's struggled with toughness at times, questionable there.
Yes, without a doubt. And coming in is a cornerback pick for the Seattle Seahawks. Davison, I'm gonna Igbinosun. Okay, Davison Igbinosun from Ohio State. I'm not super familiar with this player. I'll be fully transparent with you. You want to take this one?
Yeah, Davison Igbinosun. He is another guy who feels more like a primary slot at the next level, but someone who plays with a ton of physicality. Coming out of Ohio State, he fits best in a press man coverage scheme. Someone I was actually thinking about for Kansas City because he kind of fits what Spags likes in his corners in the same way we talked about with Colton Hood. That aggressiveness and that handsy nature does come back to bite him at times. He's a little penalty prone, but at the end of the day, you can live with it if you can live with the production that you're going to get from this guy. And on-ball production, he has in spades. 12 passes broken up or intercepted last season.
All right, before we continue on with pick number 77, and we're getting closer and closer to Moose's picks, it feels like we haven't had a lot of Moose in this draft. Only a couple picks for the Falcons, none for the Broncos yet. But
it's been late from both of us, really.
This is maybe your second to last, your penultimate warning here for 20% off all of the merch in our store right now. We'll make sure to give you some links as we are inching our way closer to the end of our mock draft. 20% off store-wide right now. Do not miss your chance to get yourself some sweet merch on either of our channels, whether that be the Rams channel, the Broncos Breakdown, Falcons Today. Make sure that you use the link that we're putting in the live chat right now.
Bang, bang. All right. Oh, and we've got the 77th overall pick in, excuse me, from Tampa Bay.
Max Clare, tight end, Ohio State. Interesting pick here. Now, Clare is widely believed, in my opinion, to be the third tight end that everybody unanimously said this is the guy that's tight end number 3 behind Sadiq and Eli Stowers. But Clare is a quality athlete, got really fluid moments. He's very smooth in his game. That's the one thing that I noticed about him. But he's not a great blocker. At least he wasn't before Ohio State. But doesn't have the best hands, which is why I don't love him as a prospect. I think even though the drops are low, I worry that in contested catches, I don't think he can win that battle. What are your thoughts on Clare?
I'm kind of right there with you. I felt like I expected more from Clare this season as a transfer into Ohio State. I thought he would land with the Buckeyes program and really take off and have a chance to be a very highly drafted player, but the production just didn't ultimately settle out where I expected it to be. I expected to see him play a much larger role for them. So it'll be interesting to see how he ultimately settles in for Tampa Bay, but it feels like a need here and one that he can develop to fill.
Without a doubt. And coming in at pick number 78 is cornerback Chandler Rivers.
So Rivers, to be completely honest with you, is someone that, again, I was targeting for Kansas City. I was hoping he would slide down a little bit for us. Very, very versatile, very good piece from this Duke team. You look at the year he had in 2024, unbelievably productive. Did take a little bit of a step back in 2025. So if you like guys who finish on a high note, Chandler Rivers not going to check that box for you. But I do think he has everything you need to be a solid corner at the next level. Kind of a poor man's Trent McDuffie, if you will.
Yeah.
Has a little bit of McDuffie in his game. Overall solid player.
All right, I'm on the clock next with the Atlanta Falcons. Are you ready? What's that coming down the track? Oscar Delp, my Kyle Pitts replacement here. Look, when it comes to the ability to test at his pro day, he was out of his mind. Hairline fracture, played through it all last year. I truly believe that, and the reason that Georgia doesn't really use their tight ends as well. He is a big-time upside swing, and we know Kevin Stefanski loves his tight ends. He knows how to develop them. He developed David Njoku for a little while. I think Delp's a great pick. I know you don't love it. The stats don't really pop out at you, but I think Delp is going to be a great player. What are your thoughts?
Ooh, Jack, can you put me on screen so they could see my face right now, because it is a grimace, and I've been giving this grimace to Trace ever since this pick came in. I don't know about this one, Chief. This feels very early for Oscar Delp for me. I like the talent overall, but I liked it more in round 4 or in round 5. I think there is a profile that projects to a lot of production if he hits the ceiling, but we haven't seen it yet from Delp, and therefore I struggle to get there. But I understand everything that you're saying about a potential replacement for Kyle Pitts. I do see the vision.
I love it. It's another A for me. But you know what? You can grade it, Falcons fans, down in the comment section down below. What do you think? A, B, C, D, or F? I've cooked in this one, if I am being completely honest so far. I think I've done a great job.
Atlanta fans are going to love this one.
I think they love it.
For a specific reason, I think they are very much behind you on this pick.
I think it's an awesome pick, and I think staying in Georgia is huge. Let's move on to pick number 80 here. Great center, great pick to replace Tyler Linderbaum. Jake Slaughter, unanimously agreed upon to be one of the best centers in this draft class. I think Slaughter has Linderbaum light written all over him. He's excellent in his ability to call out opposing Mike linebackers. He identifies and sets up the offense. He is really, really good as a run blocker, a zone-heavy scheme, which I believe the Ravens run. I think this is a great pick.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think, again, you look at the Ravens draft needs coming into this class, and it felt like center was number one, trying to replace Tyler Linderbaum at this point, but they don't end up having to reach to do it. They still are able to take what feels like a little bit of a luxury pick in Jordan Tyson in round 1, and then still come back around and fill a need with Jake Slaughter, and a guy I think could be a day 1 starter for them. Rolling right along, 81, the Jags end up with Josiah Trotter. This is a good pick. Trotter, a younger guy, only 20 years old, but NFL bloodlines here, the son of Jeremiah Trotter and younger brother of Jeremiah Trotter Jr., really, really good player. Followed by at 82, as we do a little catch-up work here, we're going to play a lightning round. Sam Hecht to the Minnesota Vikings, out of Kansas State. Another center, as we are getting a little bit of a run on interior offensive linemen. Really, really good athlete, solid technique, someone who projects as a growth and development piece for this Vikings team. And you want to take over at 83 here?
Yeah, Malik Muhammad, cornerback from Texas. A lot to like here as a player. Smooth, very smooth, good arm length, uses it well, physical, can jam receivers at the line of scrimmage, but a little bit thin, not really that best build that you're looking for. And he's not a very good tackler. So definitely somebody that needs to kind of work on that as he gets older. And then, of course, 84, Dalen Everett, cornerback from the University of Georgia. Really good in zone coverage. I think he can get a little grabby at times, but I think Dalen Everett has a lot. He definitely improved his tackling. That was the biggest flaw from him as he got, his career went on.
I think he's really good in man too. I think he's one of my more underrated corners in this class. I just feel like he is somebody who showed up in the biggest moments for Georgia time and time again over the last couple
without
of
a doubt. And look, I know that a lot of Falcons fans are going to be unhappy that I didn't take him, but you got to replace Kyle Pitts there, and I think Delp is the guy to do it.
Yeah, 100% agree with you that you needed the tight end. Don't know if I 100% agree on the pick of Oscar Delp at that range, but I see the vision. Like I told you, I see the vision as we have just gotten word that the 85th overall pick is in. See what Jack Sperry and the Pittsburgh Steelers have cooked up for us here in just 1 second.
It's coming up here in just a moment.
We are waiting. Drum roll, please.
Is it in, producer Jack? There it is. Just a moment. There we go.
Oh, good pick.
Bud Clark. Ball skills through the roof. Talk about your guy that is all bark, all bite and very little bark. This guy can be a Trayvon Diggs style of player, not as a corner, but as a safety. But he has got the ball skills like you wouldn't believe from TCU. An interception machine. Got to get a little bit better as a tackler. Got to get a little bit better in coverage. But what he lacks in those coverage and tackling ability, he makes up for an ability to jump the route. He's an excellent player.
Yeah, 100% agree. 15 picks over the last 4 years at TCU. Thought he was going to be somebody that came out after his last season, but ended up coming back for one last ride with the Horned Frogs. He is incredibly experienced. He is incredibly talented. This is a steal.
Yes, I think Bud Clark is a great player. Some are saying it's a little too early for him as he's projected to go in the 4th, but I don't mind taking him there.
I don't know. I think this is a steal. And I'm a little biased. Obviously, my fiance, she went to grad school at TCU, so I got to watch every game he played in person in 2024, and man, oh man, was he fun.
For sure. Jalen Farmer coming in guard from Kentucky, the place where Alpert called home, so this can't be a good player. I'm kidding. Great length and flashes, really nice power. The traits are there, needs developing, very raw as a pass protector. I think it's a fine pick, especially because, like we said, they needed to address that offensive line. What do you think?
Yeah, I just think for him, a lot of what the issues that do exist for Jalen Farmer, they feel correctable at the end of the day, and this is the guard that the Chargers needed. So I think this is a good pick to fill in need. If Farmer can learn to play a little lower and get in that squat a little deeper on a regular basis, I think he'll be a much better player at the NFL level, but that's a coaching thing, so we'll see how that goes. Next up, we've got another interior offensive lineman, Logan Jones, out of Iowa, winds up with the Washington Commanders, who are looking to replace Tyler Biadasz, who exited after this season. Jones took a big step this past season and really solid in 2025. It felt like he was somebody who had that kind of video game trajectory where every single year he got better, just developing in the ways you want to see. Really solid athlete who feels like he has more runway ahead of him, except for the size and length issues. Those are the two things that maybe can limit his overall ceiling, is just not being the exact size and length that you see typically of NFL linemen. But Jones, great technique.
All right, here we go. I have got my pick in for Broncos country. Pick number 88 as we get and move on from Logan Jones. Our first one, we moved down because we couldn't get Eli Stowers. We traded out of the second round to get 2 third-round picks, 88 and 100. And I believe this is a position that is proven to be a nice insurance grab for the Denver Broncos. A lot of Broncos fans have wanted this guy. He's high on their draft boards. Give me that man, Jonah Coleman. 5'8", 220 pounds, a bowling ball of a human being. And look, when it comes to zone running ability, which the Broncos have shown a more adaptable version of in Sean Payton's offense, he proves to be the perfect insurance and the perfect need for the Broncos in this running back room. They've got a scat back in R.J. Harvey. They've got the field vision and patience in J.K. Dobbins. Now they add the thumper. And this guy found the end zone 17 times last year. I love Jonah Coleman. He can block. He can catch. He can do it all. He's not going to be a burner, but he will be a very valuable piece for this Denver Broncos offense.
Absolutely agree. I think he continues to build out the depth of this room for Denver. Obviously, you bring back J.K. Dobbins, but now you have another option in Jonah Coleman. Dobbins, somebody who's dealt with injuries repeatedly throughout his career, so it's nice to have that kind of insurance.
Without a doubt. And I know there's a lot of people that are already disappointed because they wanted to see us go tight end, but my tight end picks weren't there, at least not right now. And you can always find someone in the fourth that could be pretty damn good. I like Jonah Coleman here. I think it's a good pick. And we all know the Broncos needed to run the ball a little bit more. Sean Payton writes it on his playbook or his play sheet, run the football. So I think Jonah Coleman adds some nice relatability here and also is a pretty decent pick here for the Broncos.
Chase Sr. and the Eagles on the clock again. I think it might be consensus opinion that they are winning this mock draft so far. It feels like Chase Sr. has done an incredible job for this Eagles team. I'm wondering what he's got cooked up at 89 as we get into this.
I'm wondering as well, but I got a feeling it's Chris McClellan, who also was a top 30 visit for the Denver Broncos. Defensive line from Missouri. Again, a player that has huge upside, 6'3", 313 pounds. He's also a run stopper and can be an interior pressure player as well. I do not dislike the Chris McClellan pick here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Another very good developmental player as he, projects to be somewhere that rotates in on that Philadelphia defensive line. Good size, good length. What do you think?
I like the pick. Absolutely. He's someone whose game I have not watched as much of as some of these other guys, so I can't speak to it too much. But from everything you're saying, I think he's a nice fit for what Philadelphia needs, and then he can slide in right away.
Without a doubt, my friend. Okay, now we're moving on to pick number 90. Miami takes Caleb Tiernan, right tackle from Northwestern. Probably the best pure right tackle pass protector in this entire draft class.
Right there with
I think Caleb Tiernan is excellent. He just needs a little bit more development in the run blocking game. That's all. He's got everything you want for in pass protection. And he's also got a basketball background. So his side-to-side agility is excellent. Good pick here for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, a lot of versatility with Tiernan as well. I feel like if the anchor's a little too weak to wind up at tackle long-term, it's definitely not to play guard. I think, he's got an NFL future no matter what it looks like.
Yep. Could not agree more at all, my friend. Could not agree more. Let's remind you guys to hit that subscribe button right now. Make sure that you are locked in for everything surrounding your favorite teams here, whether that be the Dolphins, whether that be the Broncos, Falcons, Rams, you name it. We've got it for you here at Chat Sports. Hit that subscribe button today.
Indeed. As we continue to roll on through this mock, how many picks are we away?
9 away.
Pick 100 is the last pick of round 3, Jack reminding me. So we have 9 picks left in this thing. And I will remind you guys that means we are 9 picks away from your opportunity for 20% off at the Chat Sports merch store. Oh, just kidding. Just kidding. Breaking news, actually, from producer Jack.
The deal has been extended to 6 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Central. So you've got about 35 minutes to get this deal.
Wow.
Get in there.
Wow.
Get in there and say thanks to James on the way in, extending that deal. That's big time.
Big time stuff there. Big time stuff.
That's big time.
Tyler
Onyedem.
I don't know much about this player either, so please go ahead.
Onyedem, honestly, he is somebody that I have not gotten around to too much. I do know the name pronunciation.
What is Smitty doing?
But another guy who fills a role on the interior of the defensive line, did not have a ton of opportunity to produce as a pass rusher last season at Texas A&M, with Cassius Howell obviously being their primary guy feasting on those sacks. But overall, I think Onyedem offers you a good deal as a run defender, more so than a pass rusher. Again, his athleticism is high level, really good length when you just look at the overall player that he is. But at the end of the day, solid pick for Buffalo, who needs to continue to get younger in the interior of their defensive line.
Is it Zake Wheatley? Zaccheaus Wheatley. Zaccheaus Wheatley, safety from Penn State, goes to Dallas here. An intriguing move here because they have the worst secondary in the league last year. Offers real free safety range. He's a willing tackler as well. Not a great cheddar, but, hey, I feel like you can move him around a little bit as a box safety. Maybe not entirely as his primary role, but you can kind of move him around. Definitely got the skills to be that kind of roamer around that center field backfield.
Yeah, and Zaccheaus he's day one ready. I mean, he's a redshirt senior from Penn State. He's played a ton of ball. So somebody that you know when you draft him, even at this late of a point, he's somebody who's going to step on the field and be a day one starter for you. Even if he doesn't present a ton of upside to continue growing into a superstar, I think he's a solid starter.
I think so as well. I really do.
Ramley,
go for it.
And we have our pick in. It is Dejuan Stribling out of Ole Miss, bringing in another receiving option for this Rams team. So you go back to what we did earlier. We traded for A.J. Brown, but we lost Devontae Adams in that move, bringing in a 28-year-old receiver. Then we added Sadiq, and now we continue to go in just really one direction, and that is being the best offense in the NFL by a country mile. More options for Matthew Stafford, and in the long term, whoever your future quarterback is as well continues to have guys to throw to. You know you have a trustworthy 3 when you're running 11 personnel, and you obviously have your 1-2 with Puka and AJ out there when you're in 13 personnel sets.
I can't disagree with you, and I think as you try to find your replacement for Matt Stafford in the near future here, having a good setup foundation of weapons as that next quarterback takes the step in Sean McVay's offense is something that you absolutely need. Let's move on really quick to round 3, pick 94. Jashawn Barham, edge out of Michigan here. District Heights, Maryland kid, 6'3", 240 pounds. Stats don't really pop off on you. Only 4 sacks and 3 PBUs last year. I've got the feeling that this is a player that isn't going to be just a rush the quarterback type of player. He's a good run defender as well. Kind of be that edge spy, if you will, because he can kind of close out well. I think it's a pretty decent pick, although I'm not sure how much upside he has.
Yeah, I think Barham does have some upside. It just depends on where you use him at the end of the day, because he is incredibly versatile. He comes over from Michigan, where he played a number of different roles, even at times playing with his hand in the dirt as a true edge. Also transitioning more towards being a linebacker, even played a little bit of inside linebacker. He's done a lot. Does he have too much jack of all trades, master of none in his profile? Maybe.
Okay, well, let's move on to 95. Jacoby Lane, wide receiver from USC. No, I actually don't hate this one. I think this is all right. You need somebody to replace Stephon Diggs if he doesn't come back, but Jacoby Lane it's all right. He's got good size, right? A lot of untapped potential there, but doesn't have good separation. So it's just like Alper to have guys that can't get open. But hey, look, that's all I'm going to say. No more shots at Alper today.
I do not like this pick for what it is worth.
Screw you, Jack.
I think Lane is a reach at this range, and I know some Rams fans aren't going to love that because a lot of you guys are USC fans, which I totally understand. I think Lane thrived from having Mekhi Lemon across from him to draw attention away, to score him one-on-one opportunities where he was able to feast because he does have big size. I think at the NFL level, you can't do that as much. I think those things are going to quickly come away from him, especially in New England, where there isn't a dominant number 1 option taking away attention from him. Romeo Doubs is not going to vacuum up all of that coverage in the same way that Mekhi Lemon did. So he's going to have to prove himself a little bit more.
Jalen Kilgore coming in is going to be the safety here for the Seattle Seahawks. I don't hate this either. Again, I'm kind of concerned here that Ortner is taking players that he knows won't start and won't be immediate plug-and-play players. So Kilgore projects as a player that might be a better run defender than he is more of like a free coverage safety. But you can line him up pretty much anywhere. It's kind of like Nicky Manwari last year. You can line him up as a nickel. You can line him up on the line. He can kind of drop back in coverage a little bit. I think he's just taking versatile players, which Mike McDonald loves in his defense.
I was going to say, there is a lot of Nicky Manwari in this pick, and part of that is just because they went to the same college, and so obviously they
right.
design safeties in a similar way. But it is like it feels like an interesting fit in Seattle. Obviously, you have a need to continue building on the back end. Kobe Bryant exiting this season, so Kilgore does maybe fill an immediate role for you. But we'll kind of see what that looks like alongside Eamon Warren.
This guy's gigantic.
He is massive.
Darrell Jackson Jr. is 6'5", 315 pounds. This is a behemoth of a player. Another huge space eater, doesn't project as one of the most technically sound players, But at his size, he doesn't really have to be, right? He could just kind of punch you in the mouth and just absorb contact, which is, I think, his best, prognostication, whatever he's going to be. You can move on to number 98.
And this is fun. We go from one of the biggest players in this draft to one of the smallest, from Darrell Jackson to Brennan Thompson, who stands just 5'9", 164 pounds. This guy's light as a feather, but just as fast as you would expect of a guy with that body type. Ran the fastest 40 of anybody at the combine this year, under 4.23, if I remember correctly. He's a converted sprinter, as you probably expect. Still learning receiver, still learning the position. His route tree is not there yet. I think the way he threatens defenses is purely speed-based at this point. Does offer you some special teams upside if he can continue to learn the skills required to do that. Because, again, you got to remember, this guy is not a true football player at the end of the day. He is mostly a converted track star. So he's still learning the position, still learning the skill set required, and the size is always going to be a limiting factor for him at just 5'9", 164 pounds.
Lightning fast, though.
Unbelievably
fast.
Quick.
This is like, and no other jokes other than, he reminds me a lot of Henry Ruggs. It's just go deep every time. Just stretch the field.
And even if he isn't the target on some plays, there's so many ways you could use him just to go run and go vacuum up attention.
All right, Markel Bell comes in, offensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which means I have Mr. Irrelevant in this draft.
Indeed.
Markel Bell, I think there's a lot of big, 6'9", dude. You want to talk about big human beings. He's almost 7 feet playing football. That is crazy. But with that gigantic frame comes the weight consistency problems, which could lead to lower body injuries. You see this all the time in basketball. I'm not saying that it's the same game, but you do concern yourself with when you are that big. Of course, you can absorb and take up a lot of space, but what are you going to be like from an athletic standpoint? Is your career going to hold up? And I think Markel Bell is a kind of we'll have to see sort of prospect.
Yeah, just needs to learn to play at a consistent weight. Needs to learn to figure out his diet, needs to get that under control. We did see that fluctuate dramatically, and he's obviously not the only offensive lineman that has an issue with that. So it's not crazy for NFL teams to take on a guy like that. But we talk about this sometimes with multiple players in this draft, but you really can't build them better in a lab as far as the physicals go and the intangibles go for a guy, or the tangibles, go for a guy like Markel Bell. But can he continue to reach his ceiling? Can the technique develop where it needs to be? We'll find out as we also find out who is rounding out this mock draft. Moose, you want to take it away?
Give me the Ducks. Quack, quack. Bryce Betcher, my favorite linebacker prospect on this round stretch. This is a guy that was a walk-on, got drafted as a baseball player, and led the Oregon Ducks in tackles last year. He's good in pass coverage. He's good against the run. He plays aggressive. He plays violent. He plays fast. The one issue that most people have, he's got shorter arms, not quite the size that you're looking for. But again, I told you, I don't care much about that. He is mostly a solid attacker, an excellent coverage backer. This is exactly what the Broncos need. They've got Alex Singleton. They've got Justin Strnad. You bring in Bryce Betcher, you're getting a special teams player and pretty much a year 2 starter, in my opinion, with rotational snaps thrown in.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think, we talked about this early on in today's show. For anyone who's stuck with us the whole way, you're a real one, A. But B, we also mentioned there just not being a depth of coverage linebackers in this class. There are some solid linebackers overall, but a lot of these guys thrive as run defenders, and Betcher absolutely has the talent to be both a good run defender and a solid coverage linebacker.
Whoop, whoop. I love the pick, man. Hey, I cooked. Again.
I would agree. I think it was good mocks all around here. Let us know in the chat. Grade me and Moose's mock. Whoever you are watching for, grade our mock drafts. We can recap them real quick. I'll go through mine real quick. It's very brief for the Rams. You said what? Just recap the mocks. We're just good. Say our picks.
Yeah, let's go. Yes, our specific.
Yeah, just our specific mocks.
Let's go with yours first, Durham.
Yeah, 100%.
You can talk about yours, and then I'll go over my Falcons and my Broncos.
So for the Rams, only 2 picks made. We had Kenyon Sadiq and we had Dejon Stribling in the 3rd round. We added 2 receiving options for Matthew Stafford. We brought in 2 really good players, in my opinion, that have day 1 impact potential. I think Kenyon Sadiq continues to allow you to leverage heavily into the 13 personnel sets we saw last season. You'll likely see even more of that that. And then Dejon Stribling continues to add to a receiver room that we added A.J. Brown to early on in this draft, actually before the draft got started, with a pretty wild blockbuster move sending 61 and Devontae over to Philadelphia for A.J. And then on the Chiefs end, or actually, let's go to the Falcons end of things first. Sorry, I thought that was
this is the Falcons. Okay, so I took Chris Brazzell to be on the opposite side of Drake London, 6'5", blazing speed at the next level. This projects to be an awesome 1-2 punch, in my opinion, and something the Falcons didn't really have last year, which was a certified deep threat. And I think Brazzell, day one, is that deep threat. You got somebody to plug up that defensive line. I took Lee Hunter to kind of take up that space. Big frame, not the most polished player, but definitely strong enough to get into those gaps, close out the run, and definitely add some more integrity to that defensive line. And then I took Oscar Delp because I traded away Kyle Pitts in this, and I believe that Delp projects as a very, very good upside tight end, and I think Pitts most likely going to leave Atlanta next year, not going to want to re-sign after he was franchise tagged, would test his open market. So I got a second-round pick and was able to get Chris Brazzell, Lee Hunter, and then take Oscar Delp to fill in that spot and develop as a tight end in Kevin Stefanski's offense. Then, of course, for the Broncos, only 2 picks because I moved back after we could not get Eli Stowers. I took Jonah Coleman with the round 3 pick at number 88 after I traded with the Jaguars. Definitely a zone-capable running back. Thumper, finds the end zone. Perfect complement to J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. And then Bryce Betcher, one of my favorite linebacker prospects in this draft class. I think these are 2 heavy hitters on the Broncos boards right now, and I'm excited to see if this can project to be something that we have.
Yeah, I like those picks a lot. And then lastly, we'll round out with our other AFC West team that was represented on this stream, the Kansas City Chiefs. They made a big swing at 3, trading up from the 9th overall selection with the Arizona Cardinals and grabbing David Bailey, but moving on from the 40th overall pick, their second rounder in the process. Then at the 29th overall pick, they replaced what they lost in the secondary this year, obviously saying goodbye to Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, with a new corner one of the future, if they're lucky, in Colton Hood. And Antonio Williams comes in the 3rd round, the Clemson product, who took a little bit of a step back in 2024, but hopes to get back on track with Patrick Mahomes as his new QB in Kansas City.
Well, I think it was a pretty fun day, if you're asking me. I thought it was really good, and I thought we made some interesting picks. Some drafts, not a huge fan of. I was not a huge fan of the Cleveland Browns draft overall. Huge fan of Chase Sr. over there in Philadelphia. Also, I liked your picks as well. I thought your trade to get up and get David Bailey is a good move there for the Kansas City Chiefs, although I wish you nothing but the worst of luck against our Denver Broncos here.
Absolutely.
So grade the mock for both of us. B+, A-. I think both of us did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, I think we're both right in that range, that A-, B+. Very, very solid drafts. Both of us, I think, did a good job to address the biggest needs that our teams have. And we're aggressive in the process of doing so, making some big trades to get the guys that we really wanted.
Yeah, and look, everybody's going to disagree with something, right? You've always got your idea of what the team should do with this pick. That's the fun about doing this, is we don't know. We're just predicting just like you guys are. Final reminder here, my friends, 20% off all Chat Sports merch, chatsports.com or chatsports.shop, chatsports.shop. All of our links are going to be put in the live chat. I'll make sure to put that in one more time for y'all, for Broncos and for Falcons, for those of you still watching. Hey, let's go. Shout out to him. I'm glad you like it. The Jalen Waddle Penguin Well, I'm sorry, who? Who was it? Jason Reid, who bought a Jalen Waddle t-shirt. Shout out to you, Jason Reid. So appreciate you getting your Jalen Waddle celebration t-shirt.
Indeed. You can also get our Meet the Robinsons shirt if you're a Falcons fan. Celebrate their new addition in the running back room. A Heart Snatcher shirt for the Rams fans. Matthew Stafford on that. And then there is that Jalen Waddle celebration tee that our friend Jason Reid just picked up as well.
I'm super excited here. But hey, we've got 1 week away from the draft, my friend. It's an exciting time. Danny says this feels like free agency. Denver sitting on our hands. Well, you can't wait that long because you're only waiting like an extra hour. But I understand what he's saying because we didn't do anything in free agency. We just brought back our own players.
How aggressive can you be on draft day after the Waddle trade? To defend my boy Moose a little bit, I think he,
I think you'd be surprised.
I think you made some plays to be pretty aggressive, but I think you also have to be, after giving up what they gave up to go get Jalen Waddle, a little more cautious. You can't be swinging for the fences with every single move to make like big trades up the board. But I feel like Denver did all right here.
Yeah, I think we did fine, just fine. So appreciate you, Danny, for getting in on the super chat, my friend. Thank you so much. And Bossman Jay, Moose, back me up here. Do I or do I not know Vaughn and whether he would play for the vet minimum? Funny enough, Bossman Jay does know Von Miller, and he would not play for the vet minimum this year.
No, I wouldn't expect him to play for the vet minimum.
The rumors of him coming back to Denver this year are pretty much squashed. It's not happening.
Oh, yeah.
It's not happening.
I haven't honestly heard many of those rumors, but I would not have expected Von Miller to take veteran minimum.
A lot of people believe that Von could end up coming back and kind of being like that player coach, mental developer and stuff like that. It's not happening this year.
If he did, it would be for pure love of the organization because he's made enough money in his career. He don't need to get off the couch for vet minimum. But
I'm a big believer that until the very end of the career, when you know it's the end, you would not take anything less than what you think you're deserving.
Yeah, and it's not like he's a ring chaser at this point. I mean, maybe he wants another one, but he's got one as a Ram. I know my Rams fans remember that fondly. But Von Miller, I mean, I could see him coming back, but it won't be for vet minimum. He'll wait for somebody to give him a real check or just won't come back at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, what's the agenda looking like there, Producer Jack? Oh, is that it? That's it.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, we will take off. We'll probably be making a video about our live mock draft. Thank you guys so much for joining us throughout the day. As always, for my friend, Mr. Jackson Durham, who did an excellent job first time on a live mock. Congratulations. Well done.
I appreciate it.
And for Broncos country, Falcons fans, Rams fans, and everybody watching on our main channel, be cool.